show in New Mexico.
For 5 years running. It's the OD in the AM with Jeff Siembieda and JJ Buck.
Cha-ching! NBA free agency opened with a bang yesterday, and if you weren't ready, well, you better have been, because there was massive movement across the NBA. And we always get caught up, what's the championship move? Well, they are the moves that push you in that direction, and there were some great ones, questionable ones. How it will play out, we'll let you know what we think. It's the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, The Sports Animal. Good Tuesday morning, everyone. JJ Buck with you, Bob Camp producing, and it is a debut, a guest host debut right here on the opening drive for Nikki Heckroth-Lobato. Thank you so much for waking up. Of course, Nikki, former Lobo here, right here on the Sports Animal during women's basketball season, analyst on the Lobo Radio Network, coach, mom, so much more in the community. What it do, Nikki? How are you?
I'm good. How are you, JJ? And my debut and my retirement all in one day.
Well,
let's see how this goes.
It's early. We shall see. I don't think you're going to be one and done just yet. But with NBA free agency, it's a great place to start, because I think it did kind of catch everyone by surprise yesterday. Like, oh, NBA free agency is opening, and it was bang, bang, bang. Just a few days after the NBA draft, of course, with the condensed schedule in the offseason with the NBA trying to catch up after their season just ended and they're going back to a regular schedule. It wasn't, say, superstar moves, but there were a lot of big-time moves that were made to chase down these super teams that we look at, whether it's the Lakers or the Nets when they get healthy next season. But you got to start with what we expected, and when it was Chris Paul, Kawhi Leonard opting out of their player options, you'd assume, all right, those guys are going to re-sign. Haven't got there just yet with Kawhi Leonard, but 4 years, $120 million for Chris Paul to re-sign in Phoenix. It makes sense because you look at the landscape. There wasn't a lot of options for Chris Paul to get that money. And where else was he really going to go at this point in time? And the way they talked about Chris Paul this past offseason, that team believes in him. He showed you can still play at a high level. This is a deal where you're absolutely overpaying for Chris Paul at this point in time, but it's the belief that we can have one, maybe two more runs with him at point guard.
Well, I think they're invested in him, right? CP brings like a stabilization to their organization. And a lot of times, you know, in looking at this professional organizations, you've got to have those key role players. And I think Chris Paul will step up and fill those needs, because let's be honest, he just wants to win a championship. And if he will do what he needs to try to fit that, obviously this last year, going down to the last game, not finishing, there's unfinished business there, but they've got a young team with him around him. And so I think CP overall, keeping him was in the best interest of the Suns.
And I do appreciate that, even if it is an overpay, it's a franchise's option to do that. Like, you see a lot of teams taking chances, and I appreciate that. And when you look at, we watched the Milwaukee Bucks and the Phoenix Suns in the NBA Finals, that it gives hope to fan bases. It shows you that there are other ways to win outside of creating a super team, because that option's not always going to be available. You're not always going to have a summer where Kawhi or Kevin Durant want to sign with your team and bring someone with them. So the investment we're seeing from these franchises across the board, I think it's good for basketball. I really do think that they can build off this past postseason with new teams in the NBA Finals. And guess what you got to do? Still got to spend money in the pros to get it done. And while that is something that is definitely going to be an eye-opener for a lot of people, $120 million for Chris Paul, it's more like you're just kind of paying for up front, and we'll see what happens the final 2 years of the deal.
Well, and I feel like there's a lot more, you have a little bit more loyalty on the basketball side than you do when you're looking at NFL. It's a much bigger switch right away. But you look at CP, and I think overall, when you saw him in the finals, he did a good job of looking around and seeing, hey, who's hitting, who's not. He looked a lot to Booker, right? He overall saw, hey, you have the hot hand. Obviously, he got a lot of criticism after the fact, saying, hey, why down when the game was on the line, why didn't CP step up and hit those big shots that he needed? Well, he was reading at the time Booker had the hot hand going to that, and that's a big-time player stepping up to do that role. Obviously, the Suns, the coaching staff, the upper management, seeing that CP's going to give the organization, they're backing behind him. They like what they saw in the finals, and so they put the money where they're talking. Rarely, that's where they wanted CP to come back and be a part of the organization.
And then you have the other moves of teams that are trying to make the playoffs, that are trying to take that next step. And we've got to talk about the Chicago Bulls, who made a big move at the trade deadline last year, acquiring Nikola Vucevic from the Orlando Magic, who's a really good center. They have the negotiations coming up with Zach LaVine, but they landed Lonzo Ball in a sign-and-trade with the New Orleans Pelicans. Lonzo Ball, 4 years, $80 million deal. Shout out to Big Baller Brand for getting it done. You got Lonzo getting paid. LaMelo Ball was the Rookie of the Year. Big Baller Brand was just a few years too early to capitalize on everything, because with name, image, and likeness now, Lonzo might have done pretty well with his 1 year at UCLA. But I think a lot of people once, and you said it, Nikki, that it's just kind of they had to step away from their dad.
They did.
Like, it's Big Baller Brand was a swing for the fences. Whether it worked out or not, you have to look at their finances to figure it out. But these kids, once you get away from the pomp and circumstance and their dad screaming on TV, they can ball. And this is, I think, a really intriguing move, because Lonzo Ball is still only 23 years old.
No, I think the Bulls got a great pick. I mean, they picked up an amazing player, and I think Ball has only room to grow. If you look at the last few years, I feel like they've had to change their image, right? And looking at kind of separating out, saying, hey, I'm an independent player and not just tied to letting my dad speak for me all the time. I think they've done a good job in there, and realizing as players they needed to do that. You can talk to a lot of the basketball community that are big-time fans. They may not like how it went in the past, but there's no doubt if you're buying a ticket, they kind of want to see them play. But all the ball boys, right? They want to see them play basketball. You see the love they have for the game, how much they practice, how much they put into it. And so deep down, whether you hate the Ball family or not, you have to feel like, okay, you want something good. You see how much work they put in. You want to see some good stuff out on the floor. And I'll be honest, what I love about the Ball is they can score when they need to, but they move the ball really well, right? And so that's what makes it exciting for them to be out on the
Yeah,
court.
LaMelo is unbelievable passer.
Amazing.
Already.
Yes.
And you see him play. And it is funny to think about how everything was focused on Big Baller Brand, and you think, are these guys going to be selfish ball players? Are they going to be full of themselves? And probably the best aspects of both their games are the way they can pass the basketball.
Well, and you have to look at the NBA. They're all full of themselves, right? You have to have, if you're going to be at that level, you have to have that confidence. So they have to have it. But you're right. I mean, Lonzo moves the ball really well. You see he has great court vision. You look at Melo. His is just spectacular, right? If you're buying a ticket to go to their game, you're going to see fancy passes. What I like about it is he incorporates a lot of fancy passes. Usually, just depending on turnover ratio, he reads the game really well and is smart about those tricky passes and makes a lot of good things happen for his team.
So if we're ranking the moves just from day one, I think that's the best move out there for Chicago. All of a sudden, you get your starting point guard. You got a really good post player. I'm a huge fan of Vucevic. Zach LaVine, you're able to lock him up. You got a super exciting backcourt. You make a push for the playoffs, and that's the step you have to take. And the team that Lonzo Ball just left, the New Orleans Pelicans, what they're doing is saying, Zion, this is all you now. You are going to be our point forward. The ball is going to be in your hands. I like the acquisition of Devontae Graham from Charlotte in the sign-and trade. He's a solid guy. He's going to go into his fourth year in the NBA. His three-point percentages have risen every single year. He's a tough defender. They need one more, but this is, all right, the hype is there. People want to see you, and now it's time to take over and show what you can do.
Well, and I just worry for Zion, the fact now that it is on his shoulders, but injuries have been his issue, right? And so the more you feel that on your shoulders, the more you tighten up. I just worry for his future. I think he's dynamic, can do a lot for the organization. I just feel like he hasn't got on that stretch that he needs to show what he can do even further in the professional side of things to stay healthy. But that's going to be something the organization now, there's more pressure on that. Hopefully he's feeding that, getting better, making sure he's stronger to develop into the player that he needs to be at the professional level.
And especially seeing what happened last year, just one and done with Stan Van Gundy as your head coach. You want to try to find that consistency in your young team, even when you feel that, all right, we have our franchise player, but what is the system overall going to look like? They're going to have to figure that out. Brandon Ingram is fantastic, but now it is, all right, the hype is there. We see all the commercials. We talked about you. Now have to find a way to get that team to the postseason. And when you don't even make the play-in game, when you have that much hype, it's going to be tough. But he said the pressure, and he'll find out if he's able to handle it because it is all on him this upcoming season.
Well, and you look at Zion's history where he's had a lot of consistency, right? Coming from Duke, looking at that, seeing the coaching staff, he's got a lot of good surrounding him. And now with changeover in the coaching staff, maybe this will be good for him to bring out a different side that kind of leverages him in a different direction to help kind of feed that entire organization.
So we got a lot of NBA free agency to talk about because of what it means going into next season. Some big-time moves as well for the Miami Heat. We'll tell you what moves we like, the impact that they had. And the Lakers, there was a big loss in the backcourt, but they picked up a lot of veteran players. But what does that mean for that new-look Lakers group with Russell Westbrook at the helm? We've got a ton to get to this morning. Just as we got off air yesterday, the bad news came for Carson Wentz. Indianapolis Colts. Continue to talk through some of the big training camp storylines. We're going to talk Lobo basketball, of course, with Nikki here, get her expertise, especially the work that UNM women have been doing on the recruiting circuit, not just for this upcoming season, but in 2022. You can get involved. The Quan's Auto Care Hotline is 2460610. We got the NMDOT text line. That is 505-246-0610. Nikki Eckroth-Labato, Bobcat, JJ Buck with you. It's opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened? Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Car Crafters is a proud supporter of ProView Networks. Datacom is a proud supporter of ProView Networks. Datacom has portable AC units for rent. Applications include server rooms, retail outlets, healthcare facilities, laboratories, convenience stores and truck stops, events, concerts, and weddings. All of these units are 120-volt plug and play. Call Louis Ruffin today at 505-507-7722 or go to datacom.com to learn more.
Jeff Siembieda, JJ Buck, Micah, Josh produces for you today over on the ProView Network side, where you can watch the show worldwide on ProViewNetworks.com or statewide at Comcast Channel 26.
Hey, welcome to the Steve Davis Show. Good morning. Welcome to Sports Desk live on Comcast Channel 26.
Welcome to The Point with Nick Rich.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 10, America Talk It Out.
I'm Pastor Flora Padilla of Mending Broken Hearts.
Welcome to Henry T. Game Face Live, Comcast 26, and Big Bad ProView Network.
Often imitated, never duplicated. Welcome to Local Focus with Sebastian Noel.
Welcome, sports fans. It's that time of the week again. You are watching the Weekly Rundown.
Hey, welcome to Red Menace TV here on ProView Network.
Hello, I'm Steve Davis. You are watching Public Access TV.
Center fielder, Caden Bell on first. Here's the pitch to Heath. Struck him out. And great pitching by Alvarado. That'll do it for the Tigers in the top of the fifth.
A great crowd for a mid-afternoon game. Swing and a miss, and there's a strikeout, number 5 for Matt Romero.
Smith talking to the batter here. That's a, oh, wow. Nice, and that's an out.
What did I tell you? That one's that gets over the head of the right fielder. That's going to bring in 2 runs. As Adrian Martinez with the RBI double.
Towards the latter part. Pitch, and that's another way for a single. That's going to score 2. That makes the score 9-0. So RBI double. That's going to make it. That's it. It's 10 runs there.
count. And this one's high. It's going deep. And it's going to fall in. He's digging for third, and he gets there. Ezra messed us with the 3-bagger. He gets the triple, and 2 more runs scored.
Steal to third base.
And he brought the hot sauce for strike 3.
Small ball team for Reed Fiegel this year. That one is hit on the line to left. It's going to send Avila back to the warning track, to the wall, and he's going to watch it go. It's a solo homer off the bat of Bo Kidd. One nothing Eagles. Just when we were talking about small ball, the Eagles played long ball. Good over with 2 outs here. That boy's well hit to left. Coming in on it is Morris, and he drops it, and the Ravens win it.
For your business or your home.
Plug it for a second. Team USA advanced women's basketball, beating Spain overnight, 95-81. Kevin Durant's team for Team USA. They had to overcome a 10-point deficit. They had a bad first half against Spain. They are these savvy veterans that you do not want to see at the YMCA. There's a team that you show up like, oh, we got this. And then you're like, wait, these old dudes are putting us through the ringer. Pick and roll, low post moves. Tough first half, and then turned it on. In the second half, Kevin Durant had 29 points, 13 of those coming in the third quarter as they advanced. Ricky Rubio dropping 38 points for Spain. How about that? But it could be, probably will be, last time we'll see the Gasol brothers on the international stages after the game. Marc Gasol said that he will return to the Lakers. He has one more year on his deal. And his brother, Pau Gasol, who hasn't been playing in the NBA, but he's been playing overseas. He's playing in Barcelona, still on the international team. They probably said, yeah, this is the last time we're going to play together on an international stage.
I don't blame them. No, but you look at where they're at and what they've done, but going back to the Team USA, like Durant, that's just amazing, right? He's such a leader. He's such a driver of that entire Olympic team, but they've kind of needed that leadership that you hadn't seen early on, right? They struggled shooting. They struggled overall. I think overall coaching for Team USA is not an easy task. I wouldn't wish that on any coach because you're dealing with everybody who thinks they can do anything and everything, and they get their minutes to go in, and they're trying to make a punch at it, and there's zero team basketball when it comes down to it. And I think Durant's, obviously when he's in the game, all the players know we're going to Durant, so it kind of takes that away.
Yeah, and this is a really interesting team. You look at the guys that did commit. Kevin Durant, coming his first full season back from the Achilles. You've seen 3 dudes that just played in the NBA Finals show up. Drew Holiday, Devin Booker, Chris Middleton, and they took a lot of grief early on, and rightfully so. It's the expectations for Team USA basketball. The world can't catch up. The world can't beat you. And when you lose 2 games in a week, and you haven't lost 2 exhibition games total since '92, and you do that in 1 week, there's going to be a different set of pressure. But I'm really interested to see kind of what Kevin Durant takes from this into next season, because it's very similar to what he's going to have with James Harden and Kyrie Irving.
It is.
They're going to defer to him, but you're in a situation kind of to your point of we have all these guys that can get theirs, and Kevin Durant just continues to step up and show that leadership. And I think he did really well when there was nothing left in terms of stars around him. James Harden was playing on a bum hamstring. Kyrie Irving was out in that Milwaukee series, and he was like a big toe away from beating the Milwaukee Bucks. and now seeing him doing this in the Olympics, I think this actually is going to help springboard him into an even better season.
Well, he needed this kind of confidence booster to play with these guys and then take it back to his own team and just say, hey, we're going to continue to roll with this. I'm continuing to be the leader that I was with the Warriors coming in here, and now he's finally going to show it coming back after a pretty gruesome injury. That's a hard, especially at his age, coming back. You know, can I still perform at that level, coming right back with the Olympics and just doing his thing? And he's earning the respect. I mean, let's be honest, Durant has respect regardless amongst the league and his peers. But you see that, and he's stepping up, putting points on the board. And I think that's what the Olympic team needed, right, was that leader. And I think he stepped into the role that they needed.
It's the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, The Sports Animal. ProView crew back at it. You can catch us Comcast Channel 26 on the social media feeds as well. AA Ron producing. Is that J Pole back there as well? Man, those guys put in quite the week at the Connie Mack World Series, getting it done. Nick Yakroth-Labato joining us this morning. JJ Bobcat taking your calls. 246-0610 is the Quan's Auto Care hotline. Bruin James, what it do, man? How are you?
Good morning, guys. Good morning.
Good morning.
Just want to talk about a little about what my Bruins are doing in the, you got Lonzo Ball signing with Chicago and making some pretty good scratch there, and then you got Russell Westbrook, signing with the Lakers, and then you got Zach LaVine playing with him and Drew Holiday playing in Team USA. All around the board, when you look at basketball in general, you have to say that UCLA is probably top 2 elite schools that put more pros in the NBA. And you got to say, man, you got to give props to my Bruins, bro. All right, take care.
Doing pretty good. It's a solid run for former UCLA Bruins. Not so much if you're Kevin Love and the way it ended for him being on the Olympic roster and then leaving due to injury. I don't know if this is a story that kind of went under the radar with Team USA basketball, but Kevin Love called Jerry Colangelo, Team USA, said, hey, I want this opportunity. The season didn't go the way I wanted it to go with the injuries in Cleveland. He joined the team, then he pulled out. And Jerry Colangelo said, quote, he reached out to us and said he was in shape and said he felt he owed us. And on the basis of that, we're looking at someone with international experience who at one time was a heck of a rebounder and could still shoot the ball, being like a 12th man on a roster. Well, it didn't work out. He wasn't in shape, and he was way behind as it turned out.
That's definitely something you don't want leaked out, right? If you are a player and it comes back to that, you didn't step up to the plate when you wanted it. Coaching staff wasn't happy with it. Obviously now he's just, that completely messes with your whole demeanor.
What happened to Kevin Love? How quickly did things change for him once LeBron left Cleveland?
COVID did not do well for him. That's all. I can't even say other words. That's horrible for you to have that leaked about that you weren't up for the challenge. You weren't ready. You thought you were ready. You said you were ready, and it doesn't finish out.
And he's someone that you were just waiting. All right, it's like Kevin Love will be moved maybe to a contender, and he just got stuck. Like, he's the guy that couldn't find his way out of Cleveland after all that.
Thanks, LeBron, right? Setting that
Hello?
up.
Hello? Still here. It's Kevin. Because now you got Jarrett Allen. They drafted Evan Mobley. He's just an overpaid guy. He's got an NBA championship. There you go.
And not many people can say that.
And not a lot of people can say that.
And maybe he's okay with that.
And he played well in some of those postseasons. But I guess I just had to put a little water on that UCLA fire there with the Kevin Love
You just
story.
wanted to just nail that.
Something I was just like, oh, yeah, I remember that when we were talking about Team USA basketball and the Kevin Love issue. But, yes, Russell Westbrook going back to L.A., big move overall. But then it's, guess who's coming back? Dwight Howard is coming back. Trevor Ariza is back. Wayne Ellington. Like, these are the moves that, the Lakers can't afford right now, but you have to make when you have limited cap space. Alex Caruso. So in Lakerland, Alex Caruso is an absolute legend. For everyone else, they just think he's an overrated basketball player. But if you try to find the middle to that, you look at Alex Caruso solid defender. They don't have a lot of youth on the perimeter in Laker.
They don't have shooters
right now, and they don't have shooters on the roster. Caruso joined the Chicago Bulls on a $37 million deal. As we mentioned, the Bulls swinging for the fences, just revamping that entire lineup. Now, I like the veteran additions. I'm someone that is in on Westbrook going to L.A. We got to hit this break, though. But on the other side, Nikki, I want to get your thoughts on this, because everyone from a on-paper basketball perspective says, how is this going to work? Where's the shooting going to come from? We'll talk about that move on the other side. F45 training, high intensity, full body fitness. What is F45 training all about? Well, it's 45 minutes that is going to change your day, your week, and the way that you think about the gym. And what I like about F45 training is all the different things you do, from strength work to conditioning. The program is set up. They have different classes throughout the week, so you're not going to overdo one body part or feel overwhelmed. You're going to consistently be challenged. You're going to be pushing yourself forward with all kinds of different movements, all kinds of different programs. And when you show up to the gym, it's all set up. You get your warm-up in, and then you get going. There's no wasted time. It's F45, 45 minutes, so you can find time in your day for 45 minutes. If you want more on what the workouts are all about, the descriptions of the classes, well, check them out at f45training.com. Download the app today to take a look at the Northeast Heights location. You can look at the schedule of classes. They have classes available 7 days a week. You can sign up for your 7-day free trial. Get in and get going and see what 45 minutes of high-intensity interval training can do for you. F45 training, team training, life-changing. I'll see you at F45.
For your business or your home, Valley Fence stands alone. We're number one in New Mexico for a reason. It's the best fence you can own. Proudly serving New Mexico for over 50 years. At Valley Fence, the difference is clear. No fence too big, too small, or difficult. We handle them all at Valley Fence Company.
Clark's Pet Emporium, your pet's second best friend. Visit clarkspet.com.
Dream Style Roofing tops them all. When your roof's worn out and needs to be replaced, we're gonna do it right, put a smile on your face. They're at home, things are looking up when you get your roof done by someone you can trust. Dream Style, a company name that's been around forever. No one does it better. You need a new roof, you know who to call. Dream Style Roofing tops them all.
Rudy's is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
These are more than just the sounds of a safe place to go after school. These are the sounds of interest being ignited and of mentors making an impact. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we don't do just one thing. We do whatever it takes to meet the needs of every kid who comes through those doors. Because whatever it takes is what it takes to build great futures. Great futures start here.
Here at Legacy, we are here to disciple people by helping them connect with God, grow in relationships, and live generously.
Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Clark's Pet Emporium, your pet's second best friend. Visit clarkspet.com.
He reminds you to toss no mas. 95.9 FM and AM 610. The Sports Animal. Sports Animal.
Big time moves in the association with NBA free agency opening up yesterday. Gotta say, I do love what the Bulls did, bringing in Lonzo Ball, acquisition of Vucevic at the trade deadline, Alex Caruso to add to that depth. That's a playoff team, and that's a step you have to take, because if the postseason showed you anything, is you never know what can happen, so you got to be prepared to take advantage of other people's misfortune. In this case, it was a lot of injuries across the board, but you have to be in that position to get to the postseason, to be in that series, and then make a run, because who would have thought it would have been the Atlanta Hawks that ended up challenging the Milwaukee Bucks, or the Phoenix Suns. The Suns had a really good regular season record, so people believed in them, but once they saw that first round matchup against the Lakers, like, I don't know. And then they go down 2-1 to the Lakers. Then Anthony Davis gets hurt, and it changes the fate of their postseason.
Anything can happen, and it's just about who gets hot when, and if things fall in the right spot. I mean, look at Milwaukee. That easily could have changed with some key injuries that were right there on the brink, and then all of a sudden Milwaukee is just on a run and finishes strong in the series. So you never know what can happen with injuries and putting some teams together, and just those little pieces. I think it's the littler pieces that make the biggest, what are those role players going to do on some of these NBA players can be more important than some of the big stars that they bring in.
It's opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, The Sports Animal. Of course, back up on ProView Networks, Comcast Channel 26. Aaron producing. Catch us as well on the social media. Just search ProView on the Facebook, and you can see all the streams across the board. 2460610, the Quan's Auto Care Hotline. Get to Art. Art, you're on the opening drive. What's going on, Art?
How you doing there, Mr.? I'm doing well.
Doing good. What's going on?
So I saw this morning before I did my devotion, I was looking at the internet, and there was a rumor from the DP show saying that the Big Ten and the Pac-12 they may merge. So my thing is, I think Greg Thompson should just be all over the Big 12, and even the Atlantic Coast Conference, and say, hey, let's do it. We have teams here that we can say we're a mega conference, and we might be able to get in on that. And I'll listen to your opinion, but if I'm Thompson, I better be doing some serious. I don't want to say kiss and tail, but let's make something happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Art, I'm right there with you. And if you're any of these athletic directors, conference commissioners right now, you're on the phone with everyone, because you don't know what direction it's going to go. We know for sure SC in Texas, they're going to the SEC. Heck yeah, if you're Craig Thompson, you're reaching out to those Big 12 schools. You're saying, do you want to join our league? While some schools in your league are probably calling the Big 12, trying to get in on that train. And everything is on the table, whether it's Big 12 teams going to the Pac-12, maybe a couple Mountain West teams going to the Big 12, the AAC, American Athletic Conference, is in a strong position as well. And this could go so many different directions. It could easily go to Super Conference, where the Pac-12 just picks up the Big 12. You see that kind of 64-team mega conference. Just to kind of say, hey, we're going to take our ball and go play over here, which, all right, that separates football. So if you're the group of 5 teams, then you have to be on the same page and say, are we then creating 2 separate divisions of Division I football? Then what's the fallout for the Olympic sports and basketball? There is so much uncertainty. The only thing we know now is Texas and OU going to the SEC. Other than that, it is wide open.
And there was even a lot of discussion about that. Are they enough to be brought in? They're even contradicting that. So right now, there's just, if you're an athletic director too, you're just watching this saying, oh my goodness, where is my school going to land? How is that going to impact my sports? And across the entire board, looking at TV packages, how that's going to impact that.
And by the way, name, image, and likeness just poof.
Yeah.
Same time right here with you for your student athletes, which I think is a good move, but then you combined it with everything else that is going on, and then reports that like Clemson and Florida State were calling the SEC. At that point in time, you are just creating the super conference model and changing the landscape of Division I college football as we know it.
If that happens, for sure. Absolutely. I mean, the whole thing's being shaken up, and obviously football going to be the main driver for all of this on where's revenue, how does it match up with that. And like you said, just looking at all in 1 year, I mean, we're coming out of COVID at the same time, and then you're seeing just students impacted by their social media, being able to change that for them. We're seeing that amongst all of them, and now just conferences about to shake up.
Have fun.
It's a lot.
And it's the reality of it's college sports. We love it. They are still student athletes, but you are only going to hold off the business side for so long.
Yeah.
When you look at the amount of money, not just coaches are making, but these schools are bringing in, yes, to fund athletic departments, but still when you see the SEC handing out $50 million just from a TV deal, you see the money that's brought in by the NCAA basketball tournament, what the college football playoff is rewarding. Like, you knew this model was going to break at some point in time.
And you saw it more and more, right, with the discussion of postseason play and how, it's just not landing right. This is the first shakeup to see how is that going to mold that later on. And I think you're right. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see where UNM, obviously UNM will stay within the Mountain West, but you don't know what the Mountain West posture is going to look like with some teams looking to modify as well.
Yeah,
so.
There's so many scenarios. Like, I could see the Mountain West trying to absorb a couple teams from the Big 12. I could see the ACC and Pac-12 doing the same thing, but then I could see the Big 12 kind of reaching out and then going after other schools. Like, I don't have a read on it. The one thing that I feel, I guess, the most confidence about, and it's what I don't necessarily want to see in it, is a super conference.
Right.
That's the only thing that you can really see ultimately happening out of all this, as opposed to, say, like the Mountain West or American Athletic Conference getting stronger.
For sure. And if you in the Mountain West, like, you look alone, what are the kind of the schools that stand out to you in the Mountain West that you say, okay, if any of them move, which would those be for you? To me, you look at San Diego State, UNLV, and Boise are the ones that stand out to me, that if they're going to any other conferences, those would be the three schools, right, that would look at that. But if you look at the major power conference, this is going to shake that up. Football is just going to be so bombarded within one area, and then you look at the rest of them, it's going to be, hey, how are they going to compete? How are they going to set up for postseason play and bowl play?
Yeah, and you already see them kind of putting a pause on the discussion for the 12-team college football playoff with all this movement, because it kind of came out, the proposal was, all right, we'll do our 6 highest-rated conference champions, 6 at-large bids, here we go, but with kind of the SEC getting even stronger, the kind of the Big Ten saying, let's slow down, let's reevaluate this, because how many SEC teams are ultimately going to get into the playoffs? What's that schedule going to look like? And it's also, I think, a wake-up call for a lot of institutions, because right now, the way the Big 12 is constructed, there ain't a lot of schools that are going to get that big-time check, and it's something that we've touched on, and it's just timing. Like, a lot of these schools, they got lucky in a way to be morphed into a power conference and then be a part of those resources. But yes, if you're the AAC, you're the Mountain West, you're those commissioners, you're saying, all right, how can we get better? How can we avoid losing teams? But if you're a Boise State, a San Diego State, in New Mexico, on down the line, you're reaching out to all the people you know, saying, whoa, what does it look? What do you think about us? Here's what we can bring to the table. And then I also think you have to have the in case of emergency side, and that is, what would college football look like if there was a split across the board? You have your power conference. Would they still want to play you, or would this say, hey, this is our 64-team power conference,
we're staying within this,
is what we're playing, and then we're going to have our postseason and crown a national champion out of this.
And you easily could see that happening.
And then how do you then group the rest of the teams together? Do you kind of form a playoff and then try to go on your way, and then all kind of pushes FCS football down even more?
I feel like if they were going to that kind of power conference, you're almost creating a new Division I look, right? And technically the other programs would be looking at D2 kind of aspect playing amongst themselves. I mean, that's where you're kind of separating the bar. I mean, we already see that in some aspect. Yeah, you're already seeing it. It's just a matter of setting it up that way, and I feel like it's going in that direction.
Like ripping the Band-Aid off and saying, here we go, it's open now. But the fallout from that, too, is basketball, Olympic sports. Can you have football look different than everything else? And I think the reality is it's going to have to for college athletics to continue, for the most part, the way we see it. It's the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal. Nicky Eckroth-Abato joining us this morning. Mr. Bob, taking your calls. 246-0610 is the Quan's Auto Care hotline, NMDOT text line. Send in your thoughts. 505-246-0610.
A rogue virus, no jobs, sky-high tuition debt. Life is trying to put our generation on the sidelines. But we refuse to just sit back and watch it pass us by. Instead, watch us fly ahead. Watch us overcome anything. Watch us rise. Watch us change our world. Watch us become the next greatest generation.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
Calling all football players, are you looking to develop your skills this season? It's never too late or too early to put in the work. Coach Carl Barrere and the Air Barrere program at 8 Grady's Performance Center provide comprehensive position training for aspiring football players at all levels. Whether you're looking to increase your speed, gain strength, or hone your skill, we train all positions with a team of experienced coaches who know what it takes to succeed at all levels from Yaffle to college. Check us out at 8gradys.com to learn more and sign up for training today.
Jackson Compaction wants to help you keep your green and keep the community green as well. Jackson Compaction has worked hard to maintain the same prices since day one. Always easy and painless trash removal with professional crews and quality service. If it's non-hazardous waste, debris, or trash on your land, leave it to us. At Jackson Compaction, we're dedicated to ensuring the conservation of our environment. You trash it, we smash it. Jackson Compaction, we've earned a reputation for great results.
Turbo Threads is a proud sponsor of ProView Networks.
Almost 30 years of experience means fast service, great prices, and a wide selection of apparel from t-shirts to performance sport shirts, even jackets and hats. They feature low minimums and no setup charges on most orders. Turbo Threads is located at 1503 Golf Course Road in Rio Rancho, or find them on Facebook, online at turbothreads.com, or call 999-1234 for Turbo Threads.
Next in line.
Rudy's is a proud supporter of ProView Networks. DCE Systems want to help schools reopen and keep students, teachers, and staff safe. New Mexico's distributor of no-valent Shield Plus, an antimicrobial hand sanitizer that lasts 24 hours. That's right, 24 hours. 1 liter will provide approximately 2,000 individual applications. Call Louis Ruffin today at 505-507-7722 or go to DCESystemsInc.com to learn more. DCE Systems is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
Clark's Pet Emporium, your pet's second best friend. Visit clarkspets.com.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened? Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Car Crafters is a proud supporter of ProView Networks. Datacom is a proud supporter of ProView Networks. Datacom has portable AC units for rent. Applications include server rooms, retail outlets, healthcare facilities, laboratories, convenience stores and truck stops, events, concerts, and weddings. All of these units are 120-volt plug and play. Call Louis Ruffin today at 505-507-7722 or go to datacom.com to learn more.
Jeff Siembieda, JJ Buck. Micah, Josh produces for you today over on the ProView Network side, where you can watch the show worldwide on ProViewNetworks.com or statewide at Comcast Channel 26.
Hey, welcome to the Steve Davis Show. Good morning. Welcome to Sports Desk live on Comcast Channel 26.
Welcome to The Point with Nick Rich.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 10, America Talking About.
I'm Pastor Flora Padilla of Mending Broken Hearts.
Welcome to Henry T. Game Face Live, Comcast 26, and Big Bad ProView Network.
Often imitated, never duplicated. Welcome to Local Focus with Sebastian Noel.
Welcome, sports fans. It's that time of the week again. You are watching the Weekly Rundown.
Hey, welcome to Red Menace TV here on ProView Network.
Hello, I'm Steve Davis. You are watching Public Access TV.
Center fielder, Caden Bell on first. Here's the pitch that he struck him out. And great pitching by Alvarado. That'll do it for the Tigers in the top of the fifth. A great crowd for a mid-afternoon game. Swing and a miss, and there's a strikeout, number 5 for Matt Romero.
Smith talking to the batter here. That's a, oh, wow. Nice, and that's an out.
What did I tell you? That one's that gets over the head of the right fielder. That's going to bring in 2 runs. As Adrian Martinez with the RBI double. Towards the latter part. Pitch, and that's another way for a single. That's going to score 2.
Simone Biles, bronze medal. On the beam, it was the lone performance. One of the best U.S. Olympians when it comes to gymnastics that we will see in our lifetime. It was a very tumultuous journey for Simone Biles. A lot of opinions all over the place. But the biggest thing for me is she stood up, she owned it in front of her team, in front of the whole world. Got to a point where she felt like she was able to compete. Leaves with the bronze medal, even though the expectations were so high for her. But given everything that she went through and had to take from the entire world,
and will continue to take,
and continue to take moving forward, not too bad. You know, bronze isn't the standard that she's set, but to be dealing with all that, to come out and then still medal is pretty impressive.
And regardless of how you feel about whatever she did, right? Because everyone's across the board, different opinions. She's one where you leave and you're like, gosh, social media is not going to be good for her, or it can be great, right? But you look at it, and for her to make the decision that she made to come up and get that last one, I was the selfish side of me. I wanted to watch her. I mean, she's amazing.
Was the draw.
Amazing. Yeah.
gymnastics.
Now, I will say her team stepped up, and the rest of them were very fun to watch. I mean, Suni was amazing out on the floor watching her. So more compliments to it is team gymnastics for USA, and they stepped up and did their part.
Yeah, it's one where, Simone Biles has to own this, and she's going to have to live with this. But she knew that when she stepped up. She didn't run from her team. She didn't run from the media. She just said, everyone, I can't do this right now. Had to step out of the way. And to your point, her team steps up, and the team portion of it gets a silver medal. Probably wouldn't have gotten the silver had Simone competed and been wherever she was athletically. And then to just take a step back, avoid everything, but then say, hey, I'm ready to compete, come out with the bronze.
Yeah, and you just have to worry about her coming back, because I feel like it's not over. Right now, she's going to have to deal with the aftermath of that. And if you're dealing about some kind of, mentality of where she's at in her headspace, hopefully she has the support structure when she gets back to support that, because it's going to be good and bad either way,
Opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, The Sports Animal, Comcast Channel 26. AA and Ron producing there on ProView Networks. Nick Hackroth-Labato joining me in studio this morning. Mr. Bob taking your calls. 246-0610 is the Quan's Auto Care Hotline. NMDOT text line is 505-246-0610. Jeff Siembieda, Football Bowl Association meetings. He'll be back on Thursday. Got to believe some of those conversations are very interesting as well from the bowl directors. All the ties they have with conferences and ADs and schools is, that's a game that's going to be played. It's the what if game moving forward until the next decision is made. The Big 12, a lot of discussion. The presidents and ADs are speaking. There's a lot of questions being asked to Bob Bowlesby, the commissioner of the Big 12, and they're trying to put themselves in the best place, saying we're staying patient. We don't want to panic right now. But this is really a situation. Look at the Big 12, and it almost feels like every school for themselves. Like, you can say you want to hold it together,
but it's not being held together.
But it's like, do you really feel that confident if you're Oklahoma State, Iowa State, TCU, West Virginia, Kansas State, Texas Tech, Baylor, and Kansas? That something positive is going to come your way, especially when they're talking about football. Yeah, you got the defending national champion. When it comes to men's basketball, yeah, you got a big brand in Kansas when it comes to men's basketball, but no one's talking about that right now.
No, and football's always going to be the big driver, no matter what you do. So they're looking like, what is left for us? What are we going to look like? Where do we go from here? What are scheduling going to look like? And even out of conference scheduling, what will that look like?
But how about the games this season? When Texas and OU come to town, what that's going to be like?
Ooh.
You always, rooting against them, horns down. And by the way, the Big 12, they're trying to make, horns down like a personal foul. It is.
Yes.
And they want to emphasize that more, which I think is just stupid. It's a horns down. It's like
it is what it is.
Yeah, it's like horns up, horns down. There's like worse things you can do on a football field. Do you imagine how many flags are going to be thrown when teams score on Texas now?
Left and right.
And it's, man, the energy. And to think that this is going to last until 2025, it's not. They're not going to go through 4 years of Texas and OU in the Big 12. But the fallout continues. Excited to hear from Jeff Siembieda when he gets back on Thursday from this. But we still got a ton to get to, including continuing our conversations. Mountain West Football Media Days. We'll hit you with that coming up at 9 o'clock. A student athlete from Boise State. That's exceptional both on and off the field. Got a ton to get to this morning. The news on Carson Wentz, NBA free agency. Nicky Hackroth-Labato, Bobcat, JJ Buck with you. AA on producing on ProView Network. The opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, The Sports Animal.
Two sports the latter part. Pitch, and that's other way for a single. That's going to score two. That makes the score 9-0. So RBI double. That's going to make it. That's it. It's 10 runs there.
1-0's the count. And this one's high. It's going deep. And it's going to fall in. He's digging for third, and he gets there. Ezra Mestas with the three-bagger. He gets the triple, and 2 more runs scored.
Steal to third base.
And he brought the hot sauce for strike 3.
Small ball team for Reed Fiegel this year. That one is hit on the line to left. It's going to send Avila back to the warning track, to the wall, and he's going to watch it go. It's a solo homer off the bat of Bo Kidd. One nothing Eagles. Just when we were talking about small ball, the Eagles play long ball. Put over with 2 outs here. That boy's well hit to left. Coming in on it is Morrison. He drops it, and the Ravens win it.
For your business or your home, Valley Fence stands alone. We're #1 in New Mexico for a reason. It's the best fence you can own. Proudly serving New Mexico for over 50 years. At Valley Fence, the difference is clear. No fence too big, too small, or difficult. We handle them all at Valley Fence Company.
Clark's Pet Emporium, your pet's second best friend. Visit clarkspet.com.
Dream Style Roofing tops them all. When your roof's worn out and needs to be replaced, we're gonna do it right, put a smile on your face. They're at home, things are looking up when you get your roof done by someone you can trust. Dream Style, a company name that's been around forever. No one does it better. You need a new roof, you know who to call. Dream Style Roofing tops them all.
Rudy's is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
These are more than just the sounds of a safe place to go after school. These are the sounds of interest being ignited and of mentors making an impact. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we don't do just one thing. We do whatever it takes to meet the needs of every kid who comes through those doors. Because whatever it takes is what it takes to build great futures. Great futures start here.
Here at Legacy, we are here to disciple people by helping them connect with God, grow in relationships, and live generously.
For 5 years running, this is the opening drive with two-time New Mexico Sportscaster of the Year, Jeff Siembieda, and J.J. Buck.
Well, it's not too bad when the two-time guy is out. You can have a shot caller, a baller fill-in. That is Nikki Heckroth-Lobato joining me this morning at her debut as co-host on the opening drive. Of course, you hear her all the time right here on the Sports Animal, whether we're talking basketball or she's calling basketball games on the Lobo Radio Network. She's in studio this morning. Bobcat taking your calls, 246-0610 is the Quan's Auto Care hotline. JJ Buck with you. Ron producing on ProView Networks. You can watch the show Comcast Channel 26 or on social media. Facebook, easiest way, but you can find it on Twitter, YouTube as well. It's opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610. The Sports Animal. Some big news over the last couple of days as Mike Bradbury and the Lobo women's basketball team continues to hit home runs in the state. Sports Center top 10 state champion Natalia Chavez, who hit that half-court game winner 5A state championship game for Volcano Vista High School, announced that she is committed to the University of New Mexico, joining her teammate Jalen Bates, who committed earlier. And then, of course, you have Hannah Robbins, who...
big-time recruit right there.
You know the history with Rob Robbins, but she's been playing in Arizona, but she's coming back home, essentially, to play in the pit. So 2022 is looking fantastic for the guards. But what jumps out to me is just the class that we have in the state of New Mexico for 2022, and then to get them to stay home and play in the pit.
Here's what I love, okay? There's a couple things. You and I have talked about, I think girls basketball overall in the community, this is huge to bring some locals back to New Mexico. You've seen it with Miranda Sanchez. You've seen it with me. You've seen it with several individuals. One thing I love, VNA showing up, another Matador. Matadors, and I saw V, and I told her, hey, Matadors do well as Lobos. I'm not setting you up for anything, but you should do very well here. And then I love now the Hawks, Volcano Vista, picking up some huge draws for New Mexico in those players, and actually got to see Natalia last night at a practice on her own. Very good, very fun to watch, good passer, good shot. Obviously, the biggest thing, and I think they would transition, is the speed of the game at the Division I level. That's going to be an adjustment for the local players, but I love it. You see all the players from New Mexico now getting out of the state, playing more, which is bringing it back for Bradbury and really calling for him, bring in these good local players.
Well, and it's a challenge, and when you want to have good in-state players, but then people are going to come in and try to get said players. I know one of the bigger offers early for Chavez was Colorado State, San Jose State, and this story this morning by James Yodis, I guess it was out there, and a lot of people knew that she was going to commit to UNM, but she hadn't made it official yet, and she said she did some summer travel. She got out of town, and so she got back in town and then wanted to make it official herself on social media. So it's a verbal commitment. Of course, university still can't comment on players until they are officially signed. But it's not just the New Mexico player. You still have to be good enough to play at the Division I level. You know, you can't be a token in-state player, and I think people understand that by now, that we're seeing the players that are getting the opportunity are Division I. Because you watch Chavez on the floor, and I had the opportunity to call a couple of Volcano Vista games last year, and you immediately, like, you just see it. You're like, oh, that's the best player on the floor.
Yeah, and I'm just so excited about this because even being, a part of growing right now, coaching girls basketball right now, I want to push that for bigger numbers because right now, volleyball and soccer are absorbing all girls' side of athletics. And so New Mexico, they've got to understand you've got to play multiple sports. These girls have got to understand, don't play soccer since you were 2 years old and then you burn out in high school. They've got to play multiple sports.
It's important.
It really is. And I think now with some local players here, you're going to see some attendance change a little bit at the pit, which you and I are very excited about, right? To see some locals bring back a little bit of that freshness that would bring in a little bit more rejuvenation that they need. And I think it's going to be exciting. I mean, obviously, Hannah Robbins coming from Arizona, that's still a big one. You want to be a fly on the wall to see what discussions her and her dad had because she had options as well. So big-time recruits, big-time guards, which we know Mike Bradbury's all about his guards, right? We're seeing that. He loves him some guards.
Yeah, and also, I think a big piece of this, and you mentioned just that connection, which recruiting, you're going to have to do it across the country, across the world, which you're going to see this upcoming year for
a lot of international
women's
flavor.
basketball. But when you have those in-state players that really connect, and the big one is Jaden De La Cerda, and how much she reps not just being a Lobo, but the state of New Mexico, and she's going into year 5, a super senior, a leader on this team, and to see the way she's already interacting with these young local players, I think is great for the program.
Well, and it's sense of pride, right? It kind of leverages and feeds into the locker room, right? You see it with De La Cerda now. I saw an interview between her and V the other day. I love to see those kinds of things, letting the fans kind of get into their personal lives a little bit and learn more about them besides just on their social media accounts. But you see that, and I think it becomes a little bit more contagious in the locker room to see, hey, you've got to have this love for basketball, understand the history of the Pit and the fan clubs that are brought with that. So it's going to be exciting.
Now, with all that being said, if you're Mike Bradbury, how do you handle the first month or two of this season? Because you got a lot of young players, and they're going to have to play, and that means they're going to make some mistakes. They're going to be experiencing that transition from
right in front of your
high
eyes
school to Division I basketball. Because coming back, you look at the potential starting five, it looks really good. Tay Duff, Tora Duff, Jaden De La Cerda, Shy Magruder, Antonia Anderson. Well, Anderson has a knee injury, so she's shooting, but she might not be ready to start the season. We just saw last week reported Tay Duff had a surgical procedure, which she might not be able to start the season. They expect to have her back. She was the 6th Woman of the Year in the Mountain West Conference. And oh, by the way, you only have 2 post players. One of them, Anderson, might start the season on the sidelines. Bradbury's got to be excited, but that is a lot of development that he has to see on his team.
It did, and losing Elise Hurst, right?
Yep.
I mean, yes, that strong five. I think with Elise, you kind of saw the Duff sisters kind of taking over those positions anyway, so Elise was just seeing that and decides to go to Oregon. But when you look at that for Bradbury, that's a hard call. You and I talk about it. I hope if he's going to go for it, leverage those younger players early on in the season, get them acquainted with it. That way, when it comes around to Vegas time, your younger players, and I think that's what's, a couple of Fresno State has done a good job with that, is they relied on their younger players early on, and UNLV will do this, and they're ready come conference tournament time, that those freshmen don't look like freshmen anymore. They had to grow up really, really quick. And I think right now, if you look at New Mexico, 5 seniors, 8 underclassmen, and 6 freshmen, that's a big change. Granted, they're starting once they're in the core of their season and have all of everybody healthy. It's going to be very, very good. But those freshmen, if you can incorporate them,
you're going to have to early in the season just based on availability. And it is exciting to see what they return, how they handled last year to finish it as Mountain West regular season champs. And now also just to get a full season of not just practice, which is going to be huge to actually just get to practice, but have that non-conference experience and have those games that you don't normally have, because they kind of went out, they played a couple of teams that they were just way better than and really didn't get a test, and you put up those gaudy numbers in non-conference play, and then you're right into it, and you really haven't faced adversity on the court. Now they faced a ton of it off the court, but kind of going through those moments on the court, they didn't have it last year.
They didn't. Anything you can learn about what the Lobo women did last year is that, hey, playing on the road every single game, living in hotel rooms, if anything, it made them stronger amongst each other and getting on each other's nerves, but realizing, hey, we're in this together. We're the ones going against everything. I think it made them stronger. The other important thing is the coaching staff, right, has changed for New Mexico. And I don't think we talk about it enough, how much that can impact a team. But adding Nike McClure, which is a fan favorite, she's got great energy, kind of, which is a great replacement for Bill because he had energy on the bench within the girls. And I think that's going to be huge for the post players when they start developing those positions.
Yeah, that's the big question. Is you look at it's become backcourt U.
Yes.
Hashtag backcourt U is every time I see an announcement, that's what I put out there on Twitter, because there's a lot of guards, and that's the way Mike Bradbury wants to play. But that is the biggest question.
Fast.
Is can you survive with just pretty much Shy Magruder and Anderson when it gets down to it? Even if you want to play that 4-guard lineup, at times, if you're not hitting your shots, getting beat up inside.
And I think it's good if New Mexico is able to control the pace of the game. But if you get a team that wants to set it to a half court, slow it down, if they're successful against doing that against the Lobos, that's where the size difference could impact them, right? And obviously, if Antonia Anderson's back and healthy and Shy Magruder, I do think Shy has been working her tail off. I do think this is going to be a great senior year for her. But you never know with injuries. You need a little bit of depth in the post position. And New Mexico, that's going to be a little difficult this year. So hopefully those guards can rebound.
That was unfortunate. You saw it at the very end when Anderson went down. And it just changed everything for that team in that final game of the season.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it can change, one player. You hate to see that, but New Mexico with, I love that De La Cerda and Tony Anderson coming back. That was a huge gift, right? I feel like New Mexico asked them to come back, but they're the ones that help New Mexico out with the leadership that they're going to bring back to this locker room and help out these 6 freshmen that are coming in the door.
You can get involved. Quan's Auto Care Hotline is 246-0610. You can send a text to the NMDOT text line. That's 505-246-0610. You want to email the show. It's jj@sportsanimалabq.com. And come back on the other side. It was worst case scenario for Carson Wentz in the Indianapolis Colts. So what do? They had hopes of not just being a postseason team, but maybe being an AFC championship team. What do they do now? It's opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Clark's Pet Emporium, your pet's second best friend. Visit clarkspet.com.
A rogue virus, no jobs, sky-high tuition debt. Life is trying to put our generation on the sidelines. But we refuse to just sit back and watch it pass us by. Instead, watch us fly ahead. Watch us overcome anything. Watch us rise. Watch us change our world. Watch us become the next greatest generation.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a #1. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
Calling all football players, are you looking to develop your skills this season? It's never too late or too early to put in the work. Coach Carl Barrere and the Air Barrere program at 8 Grady's Performance Center provide comprehensive position training for aspiring football players at all levels. Whether you're looking to increase your speed, gain strength, or hone your skill, we train all positions with a team of experienced coaches who know what it takes to succeed at all levels from Yaffle to college. Check us out at 8gradys.com to learn more and sign up for training today.
Jackson Compaction wants to help you keep your green and keep the community green as well. Jackson Compaction has worked hard to maintain the same prices since day one. Always easy and painless trash removal with professional crews and quality service. If it's non-hazardous waste, debris, or trash on your land, leave it to us. At Jackson Compaction, we're dedicated to ensuring the conservation of our environment. You trash it, we smash it. Jackson Compaction, we've earned a reputation for great results.
Turbo Threads is a proud sponsor of ProView Networks.
Almost 30 years of experience means fast service, great prices, and a wide selection of apparel from t-shirts to performance sport shirts, even jackets and hats. They feature low minimums and no setup charges on most orders. Turbo Threads is located at 1503 Golf Course Road in Rio Rancho, or find them on Facebook, online at turbothreads.com, or call 999-1234 for Turbo Threads.
Next in line.
Rudy's is a proud supporter of ProView Networks. DCE Systems want to help schools reopen and keep students, teachers, and staff safe. New Mexico's distributor of no-valent Shield Plus, an antimicrobial hand sanitizer that lasts 24 hours. That's right, 24 hours. 1 liter will provide approximately 2,000 individual applications. Call Louis Ruffin today at 505-507-7722 or go to dcesystemsinc.com to learn more. DCE Systems is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
Clark's Pet Emporium, your pet's second best friend. Visit clarkspet.com.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog! Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened? Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Car Crafters is a proud supporter of ProView Networks. Datacom is a proud supporter of ProView Networks. Datacom has portable AC units for rent. Applications include server rooms, retail outlets, healthcare facilities, laboratories, convenience stores and truck stops, events, concerts, and weddings. All of these units are 120-volt plug and play. Call Louis Ruffin today at 505-507-7722 or go to datacom.com to learn more.
Jeff Siembieda, JJ Buck, Micah, Josh produces for you today over on the ProView Network side, where you can watch the show worldwide on ProViewNetworks.com or Stateline.
Double or nothing. That is what the Indianapolis Colts have to do. They have to double down on the quarterback position. They went after Carson Wentz. I thought it was a great move. Third-round pick this past draft, conditional second round moving forward. But an old injury creeps up. A foot injury for Carson Wentz, displacement of a bone, foot surgery, out 5 to 12 weeks. That is a huge timetable, 5 to 12. And when it came out yesterday, before we got done here on the opening drive, and they said he's gonna rest his foot in hopes of avoiding surgery, I was like, that doesn't sound good at all.
Well, now they're talking about removing a bone. Is that?
I was like, you can't just rest it. And like, oh, I'm resting a couple days to avoid surgery. No, you're probably going to have surgery.
And the sooner the better.
Unfortunately. So Carson Wentz out 5 to 12 weeks. And now you have a playoff team without a quarterback. So what do you do if you are the Indianapolis Colts? I'm sorry, it can't be Jacob Eason. It just can't be. He's in the driver's seat right now because there's no one else. There's Sam Ehlinger. There's Brett Hundley, Jalen Morton. I don't know who he is, but he's there in camp for the Indianapolis Colts. And so what do? You have to throw more draft assets at another quarterback. And where is that quarterback going to come from? It's the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, The Sports Animal. JJ Buck joined by Nikki Heckroth-Lobato this morning. Bobcat taking your calls. 246-0610 is the Quan's Auto Care hotline. Of course, everyone has been talking about Nick Foles, who's dropped down to QB3 on the depth chart in Chicago. But, of course, Nick Foles won a Super Bowl in Philadelphia. Frank Reich was the offensive coordinator of the Eagles. He's now the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. That makes a ton of sense. But you could also see Chicago, Matt Nagy, playing hardball, trying to push that price up because the Colts are desperate at this moment in time. But a couple other names to consider that are worth making a phone call. Marcus Mariota, backup Raiders. We saw what he did stepping in for Derek Carr a few games last year. Has experience. We know he can play at this level, and he's very familiar with the rest of that division, given the fact he started his career in Tennessee. And one Gardner Minshew down there in Jacksonville. It's going to be the Trevor Lawrence show. And Gardner Minshew might be a little lesser price tag in terms of some draft compensation. But right there, outside of Nick Foles, I think those are two realistic names that you can come in, help you try to keep pace with Tennessee. Best case scenario, it's not the 12 weeks for Carson Wentz, but give you that buffer you need to compete and at least give you a chance once Carson Wentz comes back.
And have a little bit more leverage with Jacob Eason to train him, right? To have somebody there a little bit more veteran that's able to step in. Obviously, Indianapolis having to make some big decision there on the quarterback position is just now, when you look at it, if you do not have that stability within your organization, it just drops off exponentially, and that's where Indianapolis has just got to act quickly, figure this out, or are they going to throw this season up for grabs and just know, hey, we're throwing a newbie in, which is not the right thing to do, because you set that up. If you throw Jacob in there right now, you're killing confidence for a possible future quarterback, right? And right off the bat, just kind of throwing him into the wolves.
And it's one with Jacob Eason, 4th-round pick.
Yes.
In 2020. I feel differently if I'm throwing Trevor Lawrence out there, Justin Fields, like these guys at the top of the draft. Could Jacob Eason be that guy? Absolutely, but he's not the guy for the Colts right now, especially a team with postseason aspirations. And you look down, and the only player with like snaps is Brett Hundley. So you have two guys that haven't taken snaps, Jacob Eason. Sam Ehlinger is a rookie right out of Texas. You're at the point where you have to make a move if you're the Indianapolis Colts. And I really think that everyone's going to get caught up on Nick Foles. Matt Nagy this past weekend was already playing the game. We love having Nick Foles. He's a Super Bowl MVP. He's also third-string quarterback for you because he went out and signed Andy Dalton too and drafted Justin Fields. But I really like Marcus Mariota if the price is right in this offense. And then kind of want to throw a dart out there. Everyone loves Gardner Minshew, but you put him in an offense that has more stability than Jacksonville ever had. Legit run game with Jonathan Taylor. That feels like the good get-by quarterback until Carson Wentz is healthy.
And how do you feel if you're those Colts players, right? The supporting cast, they're saying, okay, Wentz goes down, right? We were looking to do very, very, very well. What is our management going to do now? And, you know, do you think they leverage around just trying to help, okay, let's pump up our other quarterbacks? Or are we just pissed off right now and want management, come on, Wentz is out. What are we going to do?
Right, is practice, do the best you can with these guys.
Do your part.
As that front office is fielding all those phone calls. All right, what makes sense? And then some of these guys, Marcus Mariota on a little bit bigger contract versus, say, Gardner Minshew. Everyone just assumes it's going to be Nick Foles, but I think those other guys probably come at a better price because the Bears and Matt Nagy might hold out for a lot more, just given the fact of the connection there between Foles and Frank Reich. I think Marcus Mariota, I think he's kind of the guy that he had to take a step back. We saw what happened. Ryan Tannehill came in, took his job. He goes to Vegas, had a couple moments. I think he's ready for his debut. Second chance opportunity.
Well, you gotta take some risks if you're the Colts, right? Right now is where you look at that and say, hey, which direction are we going to go? Are we just going to throw this season kind of down the tubes and just see?
Yeah, with everything that they've invested. They built a good roster, and you're going to have to go LA Rams on it. You're just going to have to keep throwing some more draft picks
we'll see if you're right.
to acquire players. And so, yes, Nick Foles has been the hot name in that quarterback conversation. But to me, I'm calling Vegas. Hey, what's up with Marcus Mariota? He's your backup quarterback. We need him to come in. Or even Gardner Minshew, man. We're talking getting by until Carson Wentz is healthy. And that timetable, 5 to 12 weeks, that's insane. Like that could be, he just misses preseason, comes back, he's in week 3, or you're 6 weeks into the season, and then Carson Wentz is finally cleared to start practicing. Then you're into week 8, 9, 10, and by that time, you could be well out of it if you're running Jacob Eason out there.
You need to do something. There's no doubt about what's supporting how much they've invested. You would hope that they're able to do something. Obviously, Wentz, they're going to want to go back and say, hey, we'd like to look at the contract we did. We feel like there were some false statements of where Wentz was at medically coming into here. You have to wonder if that discussion happens, right? All of a sudden you show up here. Yes, players get injured, but you wonder if this was some pre-existing that the Colts were not aware of.
Yeah, and this is unfortunate for Carson Wentz, but our buddy Ned James yesterday, he made the connection. He is the Grant Hill of the NFL. And everyone knows Grant Hill, the dude.
Yes.
Supreme talent, but just always had something that kept him from really reaching his peak.
And let's be honest, every NFL player, and I think fans forget this, every single one of these players is injured. I mean, you're playing football, right? There's going to be injuries. It just depends on the severity of that injury that holds them out. So when you get to even Super Bowl time, every single one of them should probably be on the injury reserve based on their injuries. But they're like, what? Did that hold them out enough?
They always have that discussion, like, are you hurt? Are you injured? Kind of that, it's not going to feel good when you play football for a living. But in this case, you got like a displaced bone in your foot. You need surgery.
It does not sound good.
Yeah, and what is really frustrating too is when you look at it and it, he had the knee injury, so he's coming back, the knee's strong, he's fine, and then boom, this foot injury
right away
pops up out of it. 2460610 is the Quan's Auto Care hotline. Take your calls when we get back on the other side. Have to take this break. It's opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
Drive, Jeff Siembieda, JJ Buck, Micah. Josh produces for you today over on the ProView Network side, where you can watch the show worldwide on ProViewNetworks.com or statewide at Comcast Channel 26.
Hey, welcome to the Steve Davis Show.
Good morning. Welcome to Sports Desk live on Comcast Channel 26.
Welcome to The Point with Nick Rich.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 10, America Talking Out.
I'm Pastor Flora Padilla of Mending Broken Hearts.
Welcome to Henry T. Game Face Live, Comcast 26, and Big Bad ProView Network.
Often imitated, never duplicated. Welcome to Local Focus with Sebastian Noel.
Welcome, sports fans. It's that time of the week again. You are watching the Weekly Rundown.
Hey, welcome to Red Menace TV here on ProView Network.
Hello, I'm Steve Davis. You are watching Public Access TV.
Center fielder, Caden Bell on first. Here's the pitch to Heath. Struck him out. And great pitching by Alvarado. That'll do it for the Tigers in the top of the fifth.
A great crowd for a mid-afternoon game. Swing and a miss, and there's a strikeout, number 5 for Matt Romero.
Smith talking to the batter here. That's a, oh, wow. Nice, and that's an out.
What did I tell you? That one's that gets over the head of the right fielder. That's going to bring in 2 runs as Adrian Martinez with the RBI double.
Towards the latter part. Pitch, and that's another way for a single. That's going to score 2. That makes the score 9-0. So RBI double. That's going to make it. That's it. It's 10 runs there.
1-0's the count. And this one's high. It's going deep. And it's going to fall in. He's digging for third, and he gets there. Ezra Mestas with the 3-bagger. He gets the triple, and 2 more runs scored.
Steal to third base.
He brought the hot sauce for strike 3.
Small ball team for Reed Fiegel this year. That one is hit on the line to left. It's going to send Avila back to the warning track, to the wall, and he's going to watch it go. It's a solo homer off the bat of Bo Kidd. One nothing Eagles. Just when we were talking about small ball, the Eagles play long ball. Put over with 2 outs here. That boy's well hit to left. Coming in on it is Morrison. He drops it, and the Ravens win it.
For your business or your home, Valley Fence stands alone. We're number 1 in New Mexico for a reason. It's the best fence you can own. Proudly serving New Mexico for over 50 years. At Valley Fence, the difference is clear. No fence too big, too small, or difficult. We handle them all at
Pet Emporium, your pet's second best friend. Visit clarkspet.com.
Dream Style Roofing tops them all. When your roof's worn out and needs to be replaced, we're gonna do it right, put a smile on your face. They're at home, things are looking up when you get your roof done by someone you can trust. Dream Style, a company name that's been around forever. No one does it better. You need a new roof, you know who to call. Dream Style Roofing tops them all.
Rudy's is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
These are more than just the sounds of a safe place to go after school. These are the sounds of interest being ignited and of mentors making an impact. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we don't do just one thing, we do it.
Keep getting reminded of all these deals yesterday. So many things happened. I think the Chicago Bulls actually the big winners yesterday, close second. I love what the Wizards did, getting Spencer Dinwiddie on a 3-year deal, pair him up with Bradley Beal, try to make another run at the postseason. Beal has 1 year left on his contract. Then he has a player option. He's always a hot name on the market. And then how about 3-and-D forever? Duncan Robinson, Miami Heat getting a $90 million contract, the highest ever contract offered to an undrafted free agent. The Heat locking him up, bringing in Kyle Lowry, who I thought was a great player on the market, just given what he was going to ask for contract-wise versus, say, Chris Paul. You have Jimmy Butler working on his extension. The Miami Heat, I don't know if they're title contenders, but they're a thorn in the side of a top team.
They could make a run, right? If all the pieces fall together and their players are hitting well, they're just one that's not a team you take for granted, right? You're like, oh, we got the Heat. They're playing well. They've got some good pieces on there.
Got the coaching.
They do.
They got the player development, and now you lock in that backcourt, Kyle Lowry, Jimmy Butler.
And Lowry knows how to win.
Bam
right?
Bayou.
Yeah, it's going to be a team that's one. It seems like you're kind of raising the bar across it, right? There's not. Yes, you're going to have those two teams that seem to be a little bit more of a powerhouse, obviously, but the Heat are making some key changes that are going to help them.
Yeah, the Heat are the team you're never comfortable. You see them on the other side, you're like, oh, man. Now, Milwaukee did a fantastic job eliminating them, but I think they're going to be a much different team next season. It's opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, The Sports Animal. JJ Buck joined by Nikki Akroth-Labato. Bobcat taking your calls. Kwan's Auto Care Hotline is 2460610. Edward, good morning. You're on the opening drive. What's up, man?
Well, top of the morning to you folks. Nikki, it's nice to hear your voice and your perspective, and I know you bring some really good content, so thank you for sharing your thoughts this morning.
Thank you as well.
Yeah, indeed. Now that the pleasantries are over, let's talk turkey. Boy, it doesn't look good for my guy Tyler Hero now that they brought Lowry in. I'm kind of hoping Hero makes a transition. I know he's not a free agent, but maybe get with LeBron, because you're right, Nikki. There's no shooters on that team. You know, we need I'm not a Laker fan. I'm a LeBron fan, but we need a Euro on that team so he can fill it up from three. The Suns gave Chris Paul, if I understood correctly, 4 years, $120 million. Nikki, you made a great point earlier that they need the leadership and some stability, but they're falling into the trap of what I think the Dallas Cowboys do, and they pay what I would consider a very good player at this point in his career great money, and I don't think that's good. It kind of reminds me of that last Kobe Bryant contract, which completely handcuffed the Lakers organization when they felt an obligation to give him a huge contract when he was pretty vastly ineffective the last few years of his career. But I don't get paid to make those decisions. So my son commented yesterday, Dad, the free agency signings are more entertaining than the actual basketball season. And it was pretty vastly entertaining yesterday, so I enjoyed it. As far as conference realignment, I heard this last week, and I can't remember the reference, but the individual said, your chances of getting into a major conference are only as good as people wanting to watch your product. Yeah. And I think that's where we have to have self-awareness and environmental awareness. And if people don't want to watch your product, there's not a snowball's chance in hell that you're going to get into a major conference. It's just not going to happen because it's all about television viewership. And I know that we get encumbered with, our local teams, and that's awesome, right? We should support them as much as we can. But if the television eyes don't want to see your product, it's just not going to happen. Moving to my last point, the primary reason I called today, and JJ, I know you're an August birthday if memory serves. I don't know the exact date, but I think it's in August. I could be incorrect. But the greatest ever is turning 44 today. The greatest ever in the 102-year history of the NFL, who's essentially lapped the field. Thomas Edward Brady turns 44. And this run isn't over. I think it's even money in Vegas for them to get to the Super Bowl. But anything could happen. Injuries, bad luck, anything could happen. I will say this. If they get the number one seed in the NFC, which is highly probable, they're going to get to the Super Bowl because they're not going to lose that NFC championship game at home. And then anything could happen, like kind of what happened last year. But, he also shares a birthday with the great James Hetfield, which we all enjoyed Metallica's music in the 90s and in current days. So thought I'd share those thoughts with you. It's a day of celebration, a Costco cake-worthy day, even though Costco doesn't sell the same cakes they used to. But I thought I'd share a little levity with you, and I appreciate what you guys do. Nikki, I enjoy your conversation and your thoughts. Have a great day.
Happy birthday indeed, Tom Brady, 44 years old today, and Tom Brady changing the game. Not just expectations, but what players want to do, because Aaron Rodgers wants to be Tom Brady. That's why he went through the offseason to force the Packers' hand to make sure that after this season he can choose where he wants to play next. Tom Brady is a guy that I'm not going to question him anymore. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Oh, I was the one who told you he doesn't have it anymore. How many times have we said that? It's been 4 or 5 years going in the offseason. Oh, I don't know if they can do it anymore. I don't know about this guy. And now he has a good knee, is what we're learning, playing with that knee injury last year. Yeah, I think Tom Brady's going to be fine as a 44-year-old in the NFL. And that is a crazy thing to say.
It is, and he looks amazing, right? Obviously, starting out with Tampa like last season, right, you saw the mobility laterally kind of hindered a little bit, and you didn't see the line protecting him like he should have, so he got a little bit tentative behind there. But as the season grew, he got on him. I feel like he kind of showed the leadership that he's used to, that this is what I need from you out of my offensive line. That improved. Then his confidence behind there improved. His coaching staff was right behind him. And you just saw Tampa get better and better as the season progressed, and you can expect for a season not to be, after all the confidence they had, unless Brady, he did have that procedure coming back. I can't expect that to hinder him, but there's no way you have to imagine Kansas City and the Patriots have to make an amazing run this season to be back there again together.
Yeah, I think Kansas City is going to be right back there because they're going to have a healthy offensive line.
Yeah,
they went into the Super Bowl playing a bunch of dudes that were not good. And we saw Patrick Mahomes was a disaster. He was harassed. It was terrible. So I have a ton of confidence in Kansas City. And usually with the NFL, the thing I always have to remind myself when I'm talking about it is you can't expect the expected. Or you can't assume, what happened last year is going to be the same, because we see so much turnover in that league. But I look at Tampa Bay, year 2 with Tom Brady. If he is healthier overall. I'm right there with you. That's a team that I absolutely see can take a step forward and be better than they were last season when they were the Super Bowl champions. Not just bringing everybody back, but it's players in positions. When you look at the youngsters on defense that are going to be better in year two, the moves that they've made, whether it was Leonard Fournette, Antonio Brown, veterans that will now have an entire offseason with that team, just don't count the dude out. I'm sorry, you can't. You might hate him. You might be tired of him.
People love to hate him, but
now you just got to go,
You
man.
have to put him up there on that pedestal. He's just amazing.
Just keeps rolling.
And he brings the best out of the individuals around him. That's more than anything. That's the only thing, going back to the phone call, is Chris Paul does not do that. That's where my individual opinion comes in here. I do think Chris Paul did not have a good Milwaukee presence. He did not lift his team to where he needed to be to win it. And as a veteran, if you want to win it, you've got to make the big plays. And where I said, yes, he hits Booker where he needs to, but Chris Paul did not want the ball in his hands. And to me, you're right. Are you overpaying for somebody who did not want the ball in their hands to win it? But the Suns are then banking on a point where, okay, we saw what Chris Paul did. Obviously, that's going to hinder them if they're going to get there again and Chris Paul can't step up to the plate, and then you overpaid for him.
So you have the Chris Pauls of the world, and then you have Tom Brady, 44
Not on the
years
same
old
level, but come on.
today, raising the level of everyone around him. You can raise the level of yourself with F45 training. Just 45 minutes, high intensity, full body functional fitness. And you hear that like, okay, what's this all about? Well, when you get into the gym, they have programs designed for upper body, lower body strength, cardio, 7 days a week. It's a different class every single day, so it's going to be pushing you to different extents, and it's full body functional fitness. You're going to be doing movements with kettlebells, with dumbbells, barbells. You're going to be doing body weight movements, all kinds of different things that incorporate a rower, a bike. But the challenge is the sets, whether it's 3 sets, 4 sets, you're going 50 seconds, 45 seconds, just 10 seconds rest. It's about that high intensity interval training. So your heart rate stays high, you get that up and down, and you get a fantastic workout in just 45 minutes. So check them out at F45training.com. Download the F45 app. But today you can take a look at the schedule of classes. They have classes available 7 days a week, so you can find a time that will work for you. Get in and get going. Team training, life-changing. I'll see you at F45.
Great values are happening now.
These are more than just the sounds of a safe place to go after school. These are the sounds of interest being ignited and of mentors making an impact. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we don't do just one thing. We do whatever it takes to meet the needs of every kid who comes through those doors. Because whatever it takes is what it takes to build great futures. Great futures start here.
Here at Legacy, we are here to disciple people by helping them connect with God, grow in relationships, and live generously.
Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Clark's Pet Emporium, your pet's second best friend. Visit clarkspets.com.
A rogue virus, no jobs, sky-high tuition debt. Life is trying to put our generation on the sidelines. But we refuse to just sit back and watch it pass us by. Instead, watch us fly ahead. Watch us overcome anything. Watch us rise. Watch us change our world. Watch us become the next greatest generation.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
Calling all football players, are you looking to develop your skills this season? It's never too late or too early to put in the work. Coach Carl Barrere and the Air Barrere program at 8 Grady's Performance Center provide comprehensive position training for aspiring football players at all levels. Whether you're looking to increase your speed, gain strength, or hone your skill, we train all positions with a team of experienced coaches who know what it takes to succeed at all levels from Yaffle to college. Check us out at 8gradys.com to learn more and sign up for training today.
Jackson Compaction wants to help you keep your green and keep the community green as well. Jackson Compaction has worked hard to maintain the same prices since day one. Always easy and painless trash removal with professional crews and quality service. If it's non-hazardous waste, debris, or trash on your land, leave it to us. At Jackson Compaction, we're dedicated to ensuring the conservation of our environment. You trash it, we smash it. Jackson Compaction, we've earned a reputation for great results.
Turbo Threads is a proud sponsor of ProView Networks.
Almost 30 years of experience means fast service, great prices, and a wide selection of apparel from t-shirts to performance sport shirts, even jackets and hats. They feature low minimums and no setup charges on most orders. Turbo Threads is located at 1503 Golf Course Road in Rio Rancho, or find them on Facebook, online at turbothreads.com, or call 999-1234 for Turbo Threads.
Next in line.
Rudy's is a proud supporter of ProView Networks. DCE Systems want to help schools reopen and keep students, teachers, and staff safe. New Mexico's distributor of no-valent Shield Plus, an antimicrobial hand sanitizer that lasts 24 hours. That's right, 24 hours. 1 liter will provide approximately 2,000 individual applications. Call Louis Ruffin today at 505-507-7722 or go to DCESystemsINC.com to learn more. DCE Systems is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
Clark's Pet Emporium, your pet's second best friend. Visit clarkspet.com.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened? Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Car Crafters is a proud supporter of ProView Networks. Datacom is a proud supporter of ProView Networks. Datacom has portable AC units for rent. Applications include server rooms, retail outlets, healthcare facilities, laboratories, convenience stores and truck stops, events, concerts, and weddings. All of these units are 120 volt plug and play. Call Louis Ruffin today at 505-507-7722 or go to datacom.com to learn more.
Jeff Siembieda, JJ Buck, Micah, Josh produces for you today over on the ProView Network side, where you can watch the show worldwide on ProViewNetworks.com or statewide at Comcast Channel 26.
Hey, welcome to the Steve Davis Show.
Good morning and welcome to Sports Desk live on Comcast Channel 26.
Welcome to The Point with Nick Rich.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 10, America Talk.
A bunch of bullies. Laker ball into next season. Russell Westbrook, LeBron James, Anthony Davis. Yeah, Anthony Davis you're going to have to be Chris Bosh 2.0. It's going to probably shoot more outside shots than he wants to. But will this work out? Will Russell Westbrook work with LeBron James, work with the Los Angeles Lakers? The opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, The Sports Animal. JJ Buck joined by Nikki Heckroth, Labato. Bobcat taking your calls. Quan's Auto Care Hotline, 24606. And if you didn't know, Nikki was a baller. Played at the University of New Mexico. She knows a little bit about basketball, and she, like everyone else, is wondering, where are the shooters?
What were the Lakers thinking?
What are the Lakers doing? And now, I look at it, and I heard it yesterday, and it kind of made sense. Like, is LeBron James as good of a player he is he just bad when he tries to put teams together? I was like, well, a LeBron team, while they've lost games, they haven't won every NBA Finals, there hasn't been one team yet where I look at it and go, that just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Like, that's just bad. And so that's why I'm a believer that LeBron can play with Russell Westbrook. I think a lot of it, too, is getting through the regular season. And with Russell Westbrook on board, you have a dude that night in and night out is going to play hard. Doesn't matter who it's against. And then you're able to manage LeBron and Anthony Davis a little differently throughout the regular season than you could before, because you can kind of say, all right, Russ, this is your game. It's going to be your night. Now you have to figure out what the style is going to look like, but it is going to be a little throwback in terms of a lot of work being done in the paint.
Well, like I said, you have a bunch of boys that are going to want to just go get 2 points, which is fine for the Lakers. But when you have other teams coming in that are hot from three, the 2 points are not going to match up against those 3-point shots. And that is the era that we're in, and you and I have mentioned it. We're in the Steph Curry era. You get further and further back outside that 3-point line, you've got to be able to shoot the basketball in order to help out the inside game for the Lakers. And let's be honest, right now, based on how it looks, LeBron is one of their better outside shooters at like 36% from 3-point range, right? And my son was asking me the other day, what's a good percentage from 3-point range? I'm like, not what LeBron has, right? That is just not, you need to at least be in the 40% to have that discussion. And right now, Lakers, they're going to struggle from outside, and they need that. They would have helped Anthony Davis on the inside to have some 3-point shooters and some role players. I do think LeBron has adapted over the years to realize he wants to win more. And he's going to want to move the ball around more. And so I think with Westbrook, they're going to work nicely to move the ball around, but they've got to be able to hit some outside.
Yeah, you have to create the spacing. That's the big buzzword in basketball these days. Space and pace is what you're going to see. I think Blake should probably play with the slower pace with this makeup. And does Russell Westbrook change his game a little bit? And what does that mean? It's like, I don't want to see Russell Westbrook not be the dude that is out there, going 110 every possession, but maybe you see him adjust in terms of when he takes that jumper or what his mentality is playing alongside LeBron James and Anthony Davis, because we all get caught up on what he can't do. Well, this is also the first time Russell Westbrook has ever been in a situation like this. He's had good teammates. The Kevin Durant era, I think we're always going to look back on that and just wonder like how they didn't get one in OKC with the teams. Like, they had one finals run and they lost in the Miami
It was just
Heat.
toxic. I don't know what the whole relationship, I don't know what, I mean, I wish I could sit down and they just be super honest a little bit more about why that relationship just did not work.
It didn't work. And then you see him, all right, he's playing with James Harden. Okay.
Perfectly fine.
Only 1 year. Oh, then he goes to Washington with Bradley Beal. So this is his third team in 3 years. A guy that a ton of people question, is he built for today's game? So I think he's actually going to have a lot to prove in this situation.
Well, and he may feel like, I still feel like people are going back and looking at the KD situation, right? And so maybe he's like, hey, if I can make this work with LeBron, that's going to end that discussion and put KD in a different light, right? On why I was able to make this work with LeBron, but I couldn't make it work with KD. And so maybe that's more of a, a lot of egos, right, within the NBA, every single one of them. And I'm sure Westbrook coming in, and so is Kobe. They're not Kobe, but if you look at it, they're going to want to. The Lakers are going to want to come in.
They're going to have to find shooters. That is correct. But I believe this will work out because I believe in LeBron James still. Come back on the other side, continue our conversations from Mountain West Media Days. Jeff Siembieda put in the work That's Football Bowl Association meetings right now, but some great content coming your way. It's opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, The Sports Animal.
Center fielder, Caden Bell on first. Here's the pitch to Heath. Struck him out. And great pitching by Alvarado. That'll do it for the Tigers in the top of the fifth.
A great crowd for a mid-afternoon game. Swing and a miss, and there's a strikeout, number 5 for Matt Romero.
Smith talking to the batter here. That's a, oh, wow. Nice, and that's an out.
What did I tell you? That one's that gets over the head of the right fielder. That's going to bring in 2 runs. As Adrian Martinez with the RBI double.
Towards the latter part. Pitch, and that's other way for a single. That's going to score 2. That makes the score 9-0. So RBI double. That's going to make it. That's it. It's 10 runs there.
1-0's the count. And this one's high. It's going deep. And it's going to fall in. He's digging for third, and he gets there. Ezra Mestas with the 3-bagger. He gets the triple, and 2 more runs scored.
Steal to third base.
He brought the hot sauce for strike 3.
Small ball team for Reed Fiegel this year. That one is hit on the line to left. It's going to send Avila back to the warning track, to the wall, and he's going to watch it go. It's a solo homer off the bat of Bo Kidd. One nothing Eagles. Just when we were talking about small ball, the Eagles play long ball. Good over with 2 outs here. That boy's well hit to left. Coming in on it is Morrison. He drops it, and the Ravens win it.
For your business or your home, Valley Fence stands alone. We're number 1 in New Mexico for a reason. It's the best fence you can own. Proudly serving New Mexico for over 50 years. At Valley Fence, the difference is clear. No fence too big, too small, or difficult. We handle them all at Valley Fence Company.
Clark's Pet Emporium, your pet's second best friend. Visit clarkspet.com.
Dream Style Roofing tops them all. When your roof's worn out and needs to be replaced, we're gonna do it right, put a smile on your face. There at home, things are looking up when you get your roof done by someone you can trust. Dream Style, a company name that's been around forever. No one does it better. You need a new roof, you know who to call. Dream Style Roofing tops them all.
And AM 610, KNML Albuquerque. A Cumulus station. The Sports Animal. Now, voted the best sports show in New Mexico for 5 years running. Don't sweat the technique. This is the opening drive with 2-time New Mexico Sportscaster of the Year, Jeff Siembieda, and JJ Bach. Don't sweat the technique.
Football season right around the corner. Lobos start practice tomorrow to take the field, getting ready for their season opener September 2nd. Of course, last year was just Mountain West play, but this year get non-conference play into the Mountain West season. And the favorites, as they have been for quite some time, the Boise State Broncos in the Mountain Division. It's opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, The Sports Animal. JJ Buck, joined by Nikki Eckroth Lobato. This morning, Jeff Siembieda back on Thursday. Football Bowl Association meetings this week. But, of course, the content continues from Mountain West Media Days. And we're going to introduce you now to one of the top student athletes in the Mountain West Conference from Boise State.
Kikala Canino is a senior defensive back at Boise State. Not only an incredible football player, somebody here pointed at you and said to me, that is the epitome of student athlete. I don't know how you feel about that, but it felt to me like, wow, that's an incredible accolade.
Yeah, that's a tremendous honor, and for somebody to say that is, truly humbling and, blessing. But I definitely pride myself on, being well-rounded and great in everything that I do. I think how you do anything is how you do everything. So whether it's the football field, the classroom, your family at home, your social life, out in the community, you can't be great on the football field and not be great in all of those other things, because at some point it all comes together and one starts affecting the other, and then that's where you start to get into trouble. So I like to take pride in, continuing to be great and try my best and put my best effort into anything, whether it's, school, sports, or the community.
So in that vein, Kikala was honored with the Senior Class Award, honoring the outstanding student athlete, not just at Boise State, not just in the region, not just in the Mountain West, in all of college football. I'm going to assume you've got a lot of awards. Where does that one rank? That's got to be a big deal.
Yeah, that's one that I'm super proud of because it encompasses, the total package. And I hope when kids back home look at that, they can understand and see that if you have great habits and approach everything in life the way that you do your sport or the thing that you love, you're going to be in a great spot and reach a lot of places that maybe you never thought you could before. So I take a lot of pride in that, and, I'm thankful for the tremendous people around me that I've had throughout the years that have made it easy for me to, focus on being the best person and player that I could be, because there was so much support around me, whether it was coaches, teachers, my parents, my siblings. It's been awesome.
Say back home, that's Honolulu, a Hawaii kid that's now in Boise. Why did that become a focus? So many players grow up, and yeah, they want to be good students and good athletes, but football's the thing. The sport tends to be the thing. Why is community service, being a good student athlete, contributing, it feels like, and I don't want to speak for you, the priority?
Yeah. It's one of the things that I've learned growing up, just seeing my family members and people around me, the way that they give back was like anything that was theirs was yours. They weren't ever ashamed and afraid to give back to the people around them, and it's something that made not only yourself better but everybody around you. If you're doing great for yourself, why wouldn't you want to share that with everybody else and bring the community up with you and be a positive influence from that standpoint? So it's all about going into a place and not seeing what you can take from there, but seeing what kind of legacy and things that you can give back and leave. Because once you're long gone, what's the impact that you made on people's lives outside of, the football field? Because people are going to forget the scores of games. They'll forget, how many tackles or interceptions you had, but they're not going to forget the impact that you had on the people around you, whether it was them or somebody else.
Carlo Canino is a defensive back at Boise State, so I'm going to guess somewhere along the line, maybe I'm wrong, maybe it's just the way you were raised, but there was a moment that this all clicked for you. Was there somebody, something that everything you're talking about, somebody did something that stood out and that just kind of pointed you in this direction?
My parents, especially my dad, did a great job of telling me, from early on that, if your life is shaped like a football, kind of a weird analogy, but, it's uneven, small on the outsides, big on the inside. If that's how your life is, then there's a lot of imbalance there and a lot of areas that you need to continue to grow in. So he said, you want to try to become like a basketball, right? Well-rounded. And hearing him say that, and he's nowhere near perfect, but he talks about how his experiences impacted him and says, whatever you go through in life, just continue to learn from it and build and grow. And all of those experiences are not going to maybe be for you, but it'll help somebody around you, right? If I have an experience that I can learn from that can help maybe a freshman that came in and I went through the same thing, or help my brother who's, you know, younger than me and going through something that I went through, I think that's all something that if you attack every part of your life like you do your main thing, which is for us as student athletes, you know, football, right, first and foremost, you'll be in a great spot to have a great impact on everybody around you.
So how does that help you as a football player, does it?
Yeah, it does, because when you have everything else in your life balanced, then when you're playing football, you can truly focus and be in the moment on playing football and being, you know, the best performer and athlete that you can be. Now, if you are worried about a lot of things off the field, whether it's something going on back home, something in class, you didn't turn something in, that's all distractions that you don't need to be at your best and be at the highest level that you can be. So taking care of all of those areas sets you up in a nice spot on game day and throughout the week to focus and be on the moment when you're playing football.
Winning the mental game's a big deal. Kakalo Canino seems to have that down. Boise State is the preseason pick in the Mountain West. Again, I think I've been doing this maybe as long as you've been born, and it seems like Boise State's always the pick. Pretty excited, I know you are. Andy Avalos is the new head coach. He used to be your defensive coordinator in his previous stop. Then he went to Oregon, and now he replaces Brian Harsin. I got to believe you love the familiarity, having your defensive coordinator back, being the head coach. Talk about your club and the changes that are going on in Boise.
Yeah, since day one when Coach Avalos has gotten here, everybody's been bought into everything that he says, because we know that he understands the traditions and the culture, because he was a player here, he was a coach here, and now he's our head coach. And I think the thing that everybody loves about him is he's a guy that, you know, isn't going to just say things, he's a man of action. And when he focuses on us as student athletes, the main thing for him is building a foundation for us as young men, because we know that football is a big part of who we are right now, but it's such a small part of our lives that if we build our foundation on that, you know, when something goes wrong in football, you know, we don't know what to do as people, because that's what our foundation is. But if we build our foundation, you know, and everything else, our faith, our family, you know, our brotherhood, then we're able to focus on football and be great in that as well.
Is that what culture is? I hear the word culture here every year. And I go back and I almost get mocked by our listeners. Oh, you're going to hear about the change in culture. You guys are having a new coach, but it doesn't sound like there's any change in culture. It feels like Boise State is pretty secure. When you get on campus, you know pretty quick what the culture is. What is the culture at Boise State?
Yeah, as a football team and as a program, you know, we focus on, you know, actions and habits that we do every single day that are going to create the environment that we want to live in. So I think the word culture is, you know, can mean a lot of different things, but for us as a program, we focus on what habits that we want to have as a family that's going to create, you know, the space that we want to live in and thrive in every day.
Kakalo Canino, just a few more minutes. The Boise State defensive back. You get there from Honolulu. How is that road? I don't think it's unprecedented, but it's certainly not the common route to Boise State.
Yeah, it is definitely special. You know, I went on my visit coming out of high school, and the first day I got on campus, I just felt the family atmosphere and kind of spirit of aloha that everybody has back home. And I knew in my gut that this was the place that I wanted to be, because of the way that everybody took care of each other and really cared about each other. And that's something that when I talk to young student athletes or people that are coming and visiting from Hawaii, I say, you know, what you see isn't fake. Like, we're not here with you on your visit acting this way. This is how it is every day, you know. And our locker room is probably one of the closest locker rooms, I think, in the country, because of, like you say, the traditions that we respect of Boise State and know that we have to uphold. And, you know, the brotherhood and family is a big part of that.
What's the role of a guy like you, a senior, an older player, as you go through a coaching change? Do you naturally find a role? Do you have to seek a leadership role, or does it just you find yourself in the right lane?
Yeah, I think, you know, being a fifth-year senior now and having a lot of experience, playing a lot of games, you know, doing well in the classroom, I'm in a spot where, you know, I can influence a lot of the guys around me in a positive way and steer us in the way that we want our football team to look like. And I think that's all that leadership is, you know. I may have more influence on somebody in the locker room, and Khalil, for example, will have more influence on somebody else. So it's all about influencing the people that are in your circle and really steering everybody in the same direction. And as an older player, I feel like that's what my role is now, having this year, coming off of COVID, where we finally get a full winter, a full spring, a full summer. I missed all of that time with the freshmen last year, or the younger players last year. So taking all of this time to really show them, the Bronco way and the way that we do things, to know that once we leave here, the program will be in good hands.
Lastly, I'd much rather talk to you about life for an hour, but I guess in this setting I probably should ask you, how good are the Broncos?
I think we're going to be pretty good. We're excited for the challenges and games that we have this coming year, but as a team, our mentality is to be humble and hungry, and that puts us in a spot where we can show up every day and be in the moment, because we're humble enough to know that yesterday was yesterday and we shouldn't live in the past or be in the future, and hungry enough to focus there and put in the work that's necessary to be where we want to be at the end of the year.
Well, best of luck this season. Appreciate the conversation.
Awesome. Thank you.
Saturday, November 20th, New Mexico at Boise State. We'll see where those teams are. That will be the second to last game of the season for Lobo football. And that has been the standard in the Mountain West Conference, and especially in the Mountain Division, trying to chase down Boise State. But a great conversation there with Jeff Siembieda and Kekula Kahino from Boise State. We come back on the other side. We'll talk about some of the things that were said in there, specifically believing in your head coach. It's the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
Telling it like it is.
And I've always had a soft spot for Texas.
Rudy's is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
These are more than just the sounds of a safe place to go after school. These are the sounds of interest being ignited and of mentors making an impact. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we don't do just one thing. We do whatever it takes to meet the needs of every kid who comes through those doors. Because whatever it takes is what it takes to build great futures. Great futures start here.
Here at Legacy, we are here to disciple people by helping them connect with God, grow in relationships, and live generously.
Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Clark's Pet Emporium, your pet's second best friend. Visit clarkspets.com.
A rogue virus, no jobs, sky-high tuition debt. Life is trying to put our generation on the sidelines. But we refuse to just sit back and watch it pass us by. Instead, watch us fly ahead. Watch us overcome anything. Watch us rise. Watch us change our world. Watch us become the next greatest generation.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
Calling all football players, are you looking to develop your skills this season? It's never too late or too early to put in the work. Coach Carl Barrere and the Air Barrere program at 8 Grady's Performance Center provide comprehensive position training for aspiring football players at all levels. Whether you're looking to increase your speed, gain strength, or hone your skill, we train all positions with a team of experienced coaches who know what it takes to succeed at all levels from Yaffle to college. Check us out at 8gradys.com to learn more and sign up for training today.
Cliche season at Mountain West Media Day, but another good conversation there, Jeff Siembieda. Well, plenty more to come moving forward. He's back on Thursday from Bowl Association meetings, but still getting a lot of the content for Mountain West Media Days. And Nick, you said it, you're like, that is a fifth-year guy listening to kind of Kahinu there. And, yeah, been there, done that.
And that's why those fifth-year seniors and some like him, I mean, he just, the analogies he speaks to, how well-grounded he is, and speaking of how important, you would not think you were talking to a football guy, right? And his locker room and how that's set up and calmness that he brings to his team and the confidence. That was a very good interview by Jeff, and looking at Boise State's kind of culture, as we call it. And it is a big deal, right? Culture is a big deal, and that all stems from your head coach.
It's opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, The Sports Animal, and ProView Networks. Nick Heckeroth-Labato, Bobcat producing, Aaron on the ProView side, JJ Buck with you this morning. And one of the things in there, too, and you don't know if it's just a new coach thing, but players will say it, and it's buying into the coach. And you've had that experience, and especially, listening to you and so many other players that played for Don Flanagan.
Right.
And the connection that was there. And now all the coaching you do, what is, from a player's perspective, I guess the BS meter is on when you hear players talk about actually believing what a coach is saying. Like, what does that mean?
Well, I think it's all about respecting your coach, right? Do you feel like they have the skill level to be coaching you? Do they treat you with respect? All of those things are hand in hand. When I'm coaching now with the younger girls and boys that I've coached either in baseball or basketball on both sides, you have to stem from that they have to know that you believe in them. And you could tell by that interview, right? The culture is that their coach believes in them, they believe in the process, and it stems from all about a positive environment. That's where you can tell, and you could tell immediately if there's a toxic environment that the coach is leading, the locker room is going to fall apart. You're not going to sustain an entire season and be successful. And that's where I will say Coach Flanagan was so good at is a positive mentality. And you read this through different things, and you see it. You can see it on Coach Gonzalez now in the Lobo football program. He feeds that good energy. He feeds confidence in his players, confidence in his coaching staff. And that is a culture change. And if the players buy into it and they feel like it's genuine, then you're going to have a lot of success and bring the best out of the players. You can even bring more out of players than you expect them to in themselves. And I think that's the key point that a coach can bring to their locker room.
And that is really interesting when you start talking through that. Is like you have to instill confidence, have trust to then push someone past the point of where they're comfortable for. Like to put someone through the hard times, willing to run up and down those hills, willing to push themselves further than they think they can go. Well, you got to have like a positive, good relationship for then you to be able to push them to that breaking point almost as an athlete.
You do. I mean, because you're going to bring, it's all in how you deliver it, right? But if the player is bought in by that coach, and I'll talk about, when talk about Coach Flanagan, the big thing that, and I use it day to day now with my coaching style with the girls and boys that hopefully I'm doing a positive impact on their life, is knowing you could have a big game coming up and saying, hey, it's all about knowing that tomorrow you are winning this game. You just have to execute. And it's just that calmness that a coach can bring to you and the confidence that they bring. And then everybody starts buying into it. And it's that ripple effect of leadership, right? Where it comes down the line that if one person believes and then the next believes, and then wow, I didn't know they could play to that level. And that's what Coach Flanagan did. And now you see that with Coach Gonzalez. You're seeing a lot of the programs at UNM with such a successful year. You saw that stem from the coaching styles that existed.
Yeah, there's so much positivity over there on that campus with UNM athletics, and it's just such a good spot because you look at the coaches across the board, and a lot of it with anything in life, it's timing. Like, you don't have to be this, you don't have to do that. Like, I think Richard Pitino works right now for where the men's program is. I thought Danny Gonzalez was the perfect time for not just his resume, but then to have the alumni piece to it for football to raise that brand and get that excitement back. You look at Heather Dyke, what she's doing, Joe Franklin, track and field, Paul Congleton. I've been a huge fan of her, getting to know her as she tries to rebuild that softball program, the golf coaches out there. And especially with the changing landscape of college athletics at this moment, to at least have a core of coaches that you trust in to try to get through this moment.
And they're right now, I love, New Mexico. And I think Coach Gonzalez and Coach Dyke, right, because I have a history with Heather, love Heather. They're supporting each other, and they're creating, hey, Lobos, we're in this together kind of thing. And it is rolling. Like, you're seeing the athletes super excited about the culture that existing in the Lobo program, and makes it a little bit more when players come in and they're looking at whether to become a Lobo, they're seeing that across the board. And I think it's really an exciting time. You look at Pitino, I think he had a quote the other day saying, hey, I talked to Bradbury, I'd really like to run a little bit more style of the offense that he has brought on the women's side, and the three-point shooting that they've brought. And it's cross-leveraging each other, and it's been exciting to watch. But overall, you've got to produce results, right? And we've seen that in the environment. You can be as positive as you want, but you have to stay that within your players and still keep to your system and have them buy in.
Yeah, it's everyone. You ride the wave as long as you can this offseason, the hype, the excitement of football. But once it comes to game day, you're going to be looking at that scoreboard at the end. And this is one where I am really excited for football, but I'm also kind of realizing, do we have to take a step back? Because it still is a team that only won 2 games last year. It is just year 2. But what changed everything was the super seniors. They're bringing back 14 players that wouldn't normally be on this team due to the extra year of eligibility. You have a transfer quarterback in Terry Wilson that won games in the SEC. That is big time in this offense. So I think it's fair to buy into the hype, the expectations. You look at UNM, win total 4.5 is what the Caesar Sportsbook put the odds on them, and I think they're going to be right there pushing bowl eligibility this season in year 2, especially those first 4 weeks. It's key. If they start out 3-1, that is best case scenario. And you got Houston Baptist, New Mexico State, Texas A&M, and UTEP right out of the gate, your non-conference schedule.
Well, and I hate to say it, it's very likely that they could do that. I mean, you look at it, they've got the leadership. Here's where this year is going to be crazy. You had some ability where every program now can bring back those vital components, right? And so these preseason polls, to me, they are just throw it up in the air, let's see what it looks like, because UNM could fall up exactly where they need to be, but the other programs have the same advantages with this transfer portal and bringing back some of these key seniors that they wanted to give another year. And so it is going to be an insane year with probably some very good football.
Yeah, I'm right there with you when it comes to, we think this team should be better. I don't know about them, but then you're like, wait, let's actually look at the roster and who's coming back. And it's like a team for San Jose State. They're picked second behind Nevada in the West Division. San Jose State just won the Mountain West championship game last year, and they bring back like 24 starters. Like, how did they do that? Well, because special teams.
And those are difference makers, right? So that can really impact certain things, but still, I mean, UNM, I will tell you, I mean, you have a big Rocky Long supporter, right? I think the culture, as Jeff Siembieda likes to call it, It's going to be a good one. It's going to be exciting. I think you have Albuquerque in general and New Mexico really excited about where the Lobo program, football-wise, can bring this year. Your season ticket sales have gone up. I mean, exciting momentum for them to just feed off of. Obviously, then you take a step back and you say, okay, wait, we do need to have expectations in check, right? This isn't going to be a full 360-degree change.
Yeah,
but it
2
could
to
be.
6 is a big jump. It really is in 1 year. But that's what people are feeling about this football program right now. And I'm just, when it's when it's taken away, and the year we all just went through of like watching it but not having it available, it just adds to that too, that environment. Getting back to the stadium, we still got work to do to make sure we can show up at these games and be all in. But I look at that week 2 after your opener Thursday, September 2nd, get New Mexico State coming to town. It's going to be rowdy. It's one of the best atmospheres all season long.
They're going to want their New Mexico Lobo dog. Let's go back. I mean, right?
I just can't wait.
They're going to want to watch it.
To be there.
I want to watch
at that stadium. And the hype continues. We'll have more conversations throughout the week, really the next couple of weeks. Jeff Siembieda from Mountain West Media Days as we take you around the Mountain West Conference from the coaches and players of Boise State. New head coach Andy Avalos, still the preseason favorites in the Mountain Division. Highest over-under win total set coming into the season at 9. And they are in a strong position to back that up once again. It's opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
Jackson Compaction wants to help you keep your green.
And keep the community green as well.
Jackson Compaction has worked hard to maintain the same prices since day one. Always easy and painless trash removal with professional crews and quality service. If it's non-hazardous waste, debris, or trash on your land, leave it to us. At Jackson Compaction, we're dedicated to ensuring the conservation of our environment.
You trash it,
we smash it. Jackson Compaction, we've earned a reputation for great results.
Turbo Threads is a proud sponsor of ProView Networks.
Almost 30 years of experience means fast service, great prices, and a wide selection of apparel from t-shirts to performance sport shirts, even jackets and hats. They feature low minimums and no setup charges on most orders. Turbo Threads is located at 1503 Golf Course Road in Rio Rancho, or find them on Facebook, online at turbothreads.com, or call 999-1234 for Turbo Threads.
Next in line.
Rudy's is a proud supporter of ProView Networks. DCE Systems want to help schools reopen and keep students, teachers, and staff safe. New Mexico's distributor of no-valent Shield Plus, an antimicrobial hand sanitizer that lasts 24 hours. That's right, 24 hours. 1 liter will provide approximately 2,000 individual applications. Call Louis Ruffin today at 505-507-7722 or go to DCESystemsInc.com to learn more. DCE Systems is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
Clark's Pet Emporium, your pet's second best friend. Visit clarkspets.com.
Center fielder, Caden Bell on first. Here's the pitch to Heath. Struck him out. And great pitching by Alvarado. That'll do it for the Tigers in the top of the 5th.
A great crowd for a mid-afternoon game. Swing and a miss, and there's a strikeout, number 5 for Matt Romero.
Smith talking to the batter here. That's a, oh, wow. Nice, and that's an out.
What did I tell you? That one's a That gets over the head of the right fielder. That's going to bring in 2 runs. As Adrian Martinez with the RBI double.
Towards the latter part. Pitch, and that's other way for a single. That's going to score 2. That makes the score 9-0. So RBI double. That's going to make it. That's it. It's 10 runs there.
1-0's the count. And this one's high. It's going deep. And it's going to fall in. He's digging for third, and he gets there. Ezra Mestas with the 3-bagger. He gets the triple, and 2 more runs scored.
Steal to third base.
He brought the hot sauce for strike 3.
Small ball team for Reed Fiegel this year. That one is hit on the line to left. It's going to send Avila back to the warning track, to the wall, and he's going to watch it go. It's a solo homer off the bat of Bo Kidd. One nothing Eagles. Just when we were talking about small ball, the Eagles played long ball. Put over with 2 outs here. That boy's well hit to left. Coming in on it is Morrison. He drops it, and the Ravens win it.
Talked about. That is the United Stadium proposal. It was brought up in the meeting, not passed by the city council, not up for vote yet, maybe August 16th, but it was just brought to the table because there has to be time for public comment on that. So the Albuquerque City Council and addressed it. They'll talk more. They'll open it up. So citizens can make their thoughts known on the United Stadium proposal, whether or not they're going to pass that and put it on the ballot for vote on November 2nd. It's opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, The Sports Animal. JJ Buck joined by Nikki Eckroth Labato this morning. Bobcat taking your calls. Quan's Auto Care Hotline is 246-0610. Aaron producing back there at ProView Networks. And this is one that all the way up until November 2nd. So I think ultimately it's going to be on the ballot. It's going to get through city council. And then it's talking it through and what does it ultimately mean. And it's going to be a hot topic of conversation, as it should be, when we're looking at a project of this size and the funding that's coming from the city overall. But I'd love to get your thoughts on it, Nikki, as someone that's played sports here growing up. You're still working in the community. You just talk so much about youth, and they're trying to say, hey, this is good for the sporting community as a whole. And ultimately, yes, it's a soccer stadium for New Mexico United. But as you sit as a sports fan, but also a citizen, where you come down on the stadium issue?
I think the more you bring about that there's enthusiasm around it, I'm all for it. I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, I've seen people that have just moved to New Mexico for 1 month and they went to a United game, posting is so excited about it. To me, if it's bringing up where the youth can look up to it, see it, it's a new stadium, and we have the population to support that, I think it's an exciting event. Obviously, it makes me devastated that we don't have Lobo men's soccer to support that, because I feel like if you have the United, there's no doubt to me on the men's side. I know that's another topic, but when you look at United, it's built around where there has been the fan support for it. There's been the energy for it. It seems like soccer is going to sustain around New Mexico for quite some time. You see it in the youth programs. I think soccer has taken over a lot more than even in some of our basketball realm as far as the youth goes. And so I think for United, this is a big thing. It's going to be a stadium that's going to be well supported by the community, that's had a lot of leverage and a lot of community involvement, I think, in the right direction.
Yeah, and for me, I believe in the tenant. No, I don't look at New Mexico United as a flash in the pan. And a lot of the times when we've had these conversations over the years about arena, like a downtown arena, you're wondering, all right, who's going to be the main tenant? It's one thing to talk about concerts, but okay, you're not necessarily just going to survive.
It has to have multi-use.
Yeah, is it going to be a situation where it's a minor league hockey team, a minor league basketball team, but those have been so hit or miss. The one thing that I do feel confident in, that if they build the stadium, like I feel like that franchise is in for the long haul.
They are, and maybe they can leverage with state, with APS to do state football there. Things like that where you're going to have to, how state basketball goes into the pit. That's been a long-standing thing. This could be another leverage.
We have at least, championship games.
Yeah, absolutely, where that gets leveraged to help the community as well.
And that's going to be key, is because, yes, at the end of the day, you can talk about our being a community place. It's a soccer stadium, so its main purpose is going to be soccer. But can you get anything else out of it? And we're starting to see, I think, Danny Gonzalez and UNM saying, hey, we want to have more football games here. We want to bring in that high school football presence. I think the same thing would really work well for New Mexico United, because there is hey, this is our field, we don't want to tear it up, etc. Because we see the same thing happen with the Isotopes. It's a baseball stadium, you're playing soccer on it, you're in the middle of the season, but the willingness to buy into, to believe what you're selling with the community aspect, I think that would be key. I think to have moments like that, whether it's championship games or other events, it will be important, because ultimately too, when you look at Isotopes Park, they play baseball there. You're not necessarily having concerts all the time.
Yep.
But you're still able to get use out of it. The high school championship games have been played there along those lines. So you get the use out of it in the regular season, but it's a venue that it has its moments overall. I'm still, the one thing for me ultimately, I'm leaning pro stadium. I think it's fair that we do have to have these conversations, because this is a huge project. You're asking, even when you say, oh, you're not raising taxes, well, money's coming from somewhere. Whether you're refinancing bonds, whatever it may be, the city is still investing in this product. I'd like to see that private money go up a little bit more.
Of course, everyone would, yeah.
Especially with some of the big companies we have coming in. But ultimately, too, is what kind of ownership does the city want to have in this, and what kind of money can they then get back on it? Because it's still going to be a moneymaker for New Mexico United. 2460610, the Quan's Auto Care Hotline. Joseph, you're on the opening drive. What's going on, Joseph?
Hi, how are you guys?
Good. What's up?
I'm excited to see if we can get that new stadium built. I think that'd be a great thing for New Mexico and for the United.
Absolutely. So you're a yes on the stadium?
Yeah, I am. I think it will help build that help with the team, and I think they can pack that stadium up, and then, like you guys said, have more things like maybe football games in that stadium, or different events.
Yeah, it's a positive, and appreciate the phone call, Joseph. And you want to get value out of it. Ultimately, soccer stadium for United. They're going to be playing their 15, 16 games there. Occasional Open Cup game when that tournament gets back to its regular format. If they're in a position to host one of those contests, have championship games there, which I think would be a lot of fun. And we saw it, this past year where things were a little bit different for high school sports, but they had some of the championship games there at Robertson Field, out at the UNM Soccer Complex. And it's centralizing things, I think, is positive for high school athletics. I know it's a whole different conversation when we talk about high school football in those realms, but it's worked out for basketball. I think it can work out for soccer. Baseball does it fine. And
as long as they leverage it to a couple different, right? And obviously the parking's going to be a huge thing, right? I'm going to be honest. New Mexicans are finicky, right, about how spacing is and how easy it is for parking. Obviously, we have it very easy in New Mexico. And even when we go to football games, parking is not we don't have issues with parking, right? We don't have issues that it takes us 15 minutes to get in there, right? And so when you're dealing with United on the soccer side, I think this could be, depending on if it's planned right, could be used for APS.
The infrastructure piece to it is absolutely big. Getting in and out of it is important. Having the parking availability at this venue because we're conditioned to where 20, 30 minutes is what we expect. And any longer than that, we're like, what is this BS? This is terrible. I'm never doing this again.
And the price per ticket, right? You've seen him, and I think Jeff Siembieda talks about it all the time. He's like,
parking,
yeah, if you get to
$10,
that, no way. Yeah, I'm done, right? So those are going to be hit pointers, but I think the more you can just leverage healthiness amongst the kids in the community, I think a stadium's going to leverage that. I think if the APS can leverage that a little bit for state tournaments, if that's even in the contract and a possibility for the city to do that, as long as it's multi-use and the community in general sees that it gets utilized, it can be a good thing.
Yeah, I'm for the stadium ultimately. I think there's a lot of questions that they need to present and get it to the non-sports fan, because this is one of those projects where you could just be sitting at home. You're not listening to the opening drive or the sports animal left out today. You might be listening to Bob on Saturdays, Eric Strauss, and it's an entirely different perspective. So how do you sell that to the other voters? That's the key, is the people that weren't wearing those hard hats in the parking lot when you made the announcement, they just see that price tag and they're like, whoa. For a soccer stadium? What's the big picture? Can it be more than one thing? Because yes, there's things that we have to address as a city that are really important and aren't just about soccer, but there's also still quality of life and positive things for us to do and support that we need to have at the same time.
Well, and even if you look at the pit, I mean, even if it's prime, okay, that's university basketball, right? You see where New Mexico comes back and they're bumped out of the pit because of venues that have been, when you look at rodeos that have been booked well in advance, right? So it's all based off of revenue of what's going to bring in. This would be something for United where this gets leveraged as long as they multi-use and can get the revenue out of it to continue the facility and keep the infrastructure. And it can help develop, like if you said, infrastructure and creating positivity around that area of where it's at can really build up the infrastructure around it. Even the housing around it could increase, and that could help the University of New Mexico as well with the housing units.
Yeah, so the conversation will continue. It was addressed, no vote last night by the city council, but they put it out there. You're going to talk about it, open up for public comment, maybe a vote on the 16th, but no determination has been made by the city council. But the conversation will continue as we talk through, will we be voting on a stadium come November 2nd? It's opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
Turbo Threads is a proud sponsor of ProView Network.
For your business or your home, Valley Fence stands alone. We're number one in New Mexico for a reason. It's the best fence you can own. Proudly serving New Mexico for over 50 years. At Valley Fence, the difference is clear. No fence too big, too small, or difficult. We handle them all at Valley Fence Company.
Clark's Pet Emporium, your pet's second best friend. Visit clarkspets.com.
Dream Style Roofing tops them all. When your roof's worn out and needs to be replaced, we're gonna do it right, put a smile on your face. There at home, things are looking up when you get your roof done by someone you can trust. Dream Style, a company name that's been around forever. No one does it better. You need a new roof, you know who to call. Dream Style Roofing tops them all.
Rudy's is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
These are more than just the sounds of a safe place to go after school. These are the sounds of interest being ignited and of mentors making an impact. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we don't do just one thing. We do whatever it takes to meet the needs of every kid who comes through those doors. Because whatever it takes is what it takes to build great futures. Great futures start here.
Here at Legacy, we are here to disciple people by helping them connect with God, grow in relationships, and live generously.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Clark's Pet Emporium, your pet's second best friend. Visit clarkspets.com.
A rogue virus, no jobs, sky-high tuition debt. Life is trying to put our generation on the sidelines. But we refuse to just sit back and watch it pass us by. Instead, watch us fly ahead. Watch us overcome anything. Watch us rise. Watch us change our world. Watch us become the next greatest generation.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number 1. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth that's real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
922-0610. Brought to you by Quan's Auto Care Collision and Repair. 95.9 FM and AM 610. The Sports Animal.
The conversation continues. What will we see happen come November 2nd? I think we all believe that the city council is going to put it on the ballot. Then it's going to be up to the voters to see what happens. Opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, The Sports Animal. JJ Buck joined by Nikki Heckroth-Labato this morning. Bobcat taking your calls. Quan's Auto Care Hotline, 246-0610. The NMDOT text line is 505-246-0610. Got this one in saying, Aaron Rodgers is already better than Tom Brady. Rodgers clearly being a more capable player with better stats than Brady. Brady has just played on better teams, including the good Buccaneers team he walked into. He walked into a great situation because he's not a dummy. He's a free agent, and he picked Tampa Bay for a reason. But I think you got to give Tom Brady a little bit more credit than that, because if I recall the year before, Buccaneers were not a playoff team with Jameis Winston. They won a Super Bowl with Tom Brady. And I do think at times the Patriots roster, we didn't give them enough credit. It was always, oh, Tom Brady is doing this without X, Y, and Z. I don't know. Gronk's pretty good. Randy Moss had a historic season with him. He's had his players. But in terms of just straight athletic ability, yeah, I'm going Aaron Rodgers, but Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time.
And if you have a minute on the clock,
Yeah.
and which quarterback, you could pick any of them, even someone that hates Tom Brady, which quarterback are you going with? You're probably going with Tom Brady. Aaron Rodgers, I think when you look at it, even this last year, there are certain plays. He's no doubt an amazing quarterback, and he will go down as one of those. But you look at Aaron Rodgers, I just don't feel like in that last minute, he's had some clutch plays where he just could not finish a game. Whether that be the supporting cast that's around him, I'm not saying it's that or not, but Tom Brady has the ability to make players better on his team than they are and brings them in and they buy into the system. And that's a huge difference.
The resume. You just can't count against the resume anymore. And by the way,
He's a winner.
who had the last laugh? Tom Brady and the Buccaneers at Lambeau Field.
Right. And it came down to Aaron Rodgers. It just could not make the play. Yeah.
This is one where you just go scoreboard for Tom Brady. Get to the phones. Terry, good morning. You're on the opening drive. What's up, Terry?
Good morning, JJ. Good morning, Nikki. Hope you guys are doing well. I'll avoid the Aaron Rodgers. Yes, I'm a Patriots fan for way before Brady was there, but I appreciate both their talents. Going back to college football, I think the two teams that need to be really mad are Texas Tech and Oklahoma State because they trusted Texas. They could have been in the Pac-14 now, and Texas pretty much said, no, we're staying for a while, and then they took off. And then you guys, you and Jeff last week mentioned to Missouri, and if anybody despises Missouri, it'd be me being from Kansas. But, said just shut up and live with it. And is that what college football is going to be? A few halves and then others just kind of riding coattails, whether it be a Missouri, a Rutgers, some of the other teams, South Carolina, where, like I said, I appreciated conference championships where teams, even if they didn't win at all, could be a conference champion or a division winner, and now it's going to just be so few teams. I'm still hoping the Big 12 stays together and recruits a few teams, even if they have to take less money. Now, Nikki, you were bringing up youth sports. My daughter at 13 had to decide between club soccer and club softball because each one said you can't do the other one, and so luckily she picked the right one to pay for her education. So, at 13 she picked club soccer, and then in high school she went to the track coach, and the track coach said, if you can't come every day, you can't do track. And so she didn't do track, and then they asked, coach asked, where is she? And the other runner said, well, if you said she had to show up every day and she wasn't going to give up her full-time, scholarship that she was going to get. So I wish coaches worked together. I wish it was the days when kids could do more sports and be more well-rounded. But on that note, you guys have a great day. Nikki, it was nice hearing you on the show. And JJ, as always, you do a great job. You guys be safe. Take care.
I appreciate the phone call, Terry. And that's always frustrating, just getting back to the youth sports conversation.
It drives me insane.
It's when you're forced to, go to one sport. And coaches get so locked in, well, if you're not here, you can't play. And that's really frustrating.
And you're seeing it a lot. And I think it's the worst case scenario that we could have. And I really personally think it needs to change for the student athlete. There's no reason by 5th grade these kids need to pick one sport that they're going to play and then burn out by sophomore year. And the thing is, the whole point of having different sports too is changing your muscles that you're using, changing the friends that you're hanging around. So it's not one core group the entire time. All of those things are important mentally and physically for the kids. And I'm sorry you had to go through that, and you're hearing it more and more. That's why I will tell you, all the girls that I coach, I stress the importance with their parents. I will support you. If you want them in soccer and you want them in basketball, continue to do that as long as you possibly can. I support it.
Yeah, and it gets to a point where everyone just gets caught up on next level. Like, well, if you don't doing this, you're not getting a scholarship, or you're not playing here, etc.
So in my research for our first game with Houston Baptist, a lot of the players came from basketball.
Yeah, you see that in pros. How many pros do you have to hear say, "Oh, I played multiple sports growing
Patrick
up"?
Mahomes.
Great.
He was constantly 3 different sports, right? As long as he could, and I think it helps reduce the amount of injuries of overusage that happen.
Like you said, the stress of wanting to do it.
Yeah.
Like you still want to have fun, even in competitive sports, even in high school. Your mentality does start to change. You're locked in a lot more, but you still want to show up to practice, or you should be. But you absolutely can get burnt out, and it's wild to me how this can keep happening, and we still hear these stories. It's like, how many pros need to tell you that they play multiple sports and they still became a professional? Or how many Division I athletes that got a full ride scholarship said, oh yeah, I played multiple things in high school and I still got here. But yet people get so hyper focused on, well, if you're not playing club ball, if you're not playing AAU, then you can't get to here because you're on the wrong path.
Yeah, and it's got to be a change to where coaches, there's no reason. I mean, you had a good example from the caller saying track, there's no doubt. Track should be leveraging off of that. There's no reason you couldn't have a football player doing track or a basketball player doing track and leverage, and it creates a little bit more school camaraderie. To me, it's got to be a change, and you're seeing parents' financial books, right? Their checkbooks alone are like, well, then you need to pick one because you're having 2 seasons a year for the same sport, and I can't afford more than one sport. And then that automatically locks the kid in to having to pick one sport.
Yeah, and I think that's where high school sports can still have such a big benefit positively when you look at, all right, you have track and field, you have baseball, you have soccer, etc., all available, as opposed to having you join a club team or an AAU team, which then can really start weighing you down.
Right. Now, I do understand that the club posture has changed everything. At least, 2 sports in high school at least should be allowed, the coaches working together to try to leverage that. But as you can see, it stems down, right? Coaches are under, whether they're volunteers, even at the high school level, the pressure to win is so outrageous that it's driving down to the players collegiately in high school to every level to produce at such a high level.
Round of applause, everybody. Nikki Heckroth-Lobato, fantastic. And guess what? We're going to have her back. We're going to make her wake up again one morning early to join us. That was fantastic. Thank you so much for hanging out.
Thanks, JJ. He kept texting me all saying, hey, will you join me?
Come on.
I said, I am not going to be any good, so thanks for having me. Thanks for being awesome. I appreciate it.
That is Nikki Heckroth-Lobato. You're going to hear more from her, whether it's on basketball or on the show for sure. Big thank you to Bobcat. As always, Aaron producing on ProView Networks. We got the Jim Rome Show coming up next. Colin Cowherd follows that. Sports Bar will take you into Isotopes Baseball tonight right here on The Sports Animal. Everybody, have a great day. Meta World Peace and Love. We'll talk tomorrow.